All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tim Vixay with my crippled friend. This is episode number 24. I'm down here in Colorado Springs. Been on the road the last few days. Just had a few days off, so I decided to just hit the road, come down to beautiful state of Colorado for just a couple days. I'm down here over at one of my crippled friends' house. His name is Mike the Quad. Mike, what's going on, dude? Hey, go ahead and tilt that mic down, just like angle it a little bit towards you.
Right here? Just like that? Awesome. I'm doing great. It's fantastic. I'm glad to be on here.
Yeah, dude, before we begin,
Yes.
how did you get the name Mike the Quad?
Wow. Mike the Quad was actually something that I came up myself. And obviously, I mean, we're on my crippled friend, but for those who can't see me, I am a C6 quad and quadriplegic for most people, and I was trying to figure something out for gamer tag wise on Xbox, and it was like kind of just pretty self-explanatory. I was like, Mike the Quad, I wanted something that people would question at first, and then it's obvious to them once they know.
Yeah. I suppose, like, I don't really have a lot of experience with this modern game universe.
Right.
Like, the last system I think I owned was like PlayStation 2 maybe.
Oh, wow.
And then my brother had I don't know if it was an Xbox 360, but it had Call of Duty 4.
Okay.
I don't know, that might have been 360.
Yeah.
I don't. And it just, the world of video games is just kind of, I mean, the games that we had 15 years ago don't even compare to the games we have now. It's incredible.
By size, graphics, the mechanics of the game. And the crazy thing about it is that games are coming out almost every week.
Yeah.
And there's a season of games that come out. And so it's like, if you aren't an active gamer, you could get left behind and have like this huge queue of video games piled up. You're like, I need to beat this.
Right. Yeah. Like, for example, how many Call of Duty games do you think there's been since Call of Duty 4? Because that was like circa, I don't know, 2007.
So Call of Duty 4 came out, and then it was probably World at War, then Black Ops, then I think Modern Warfare 3, then Black Ops 2, then Ghosts, and then I think Infinite War. I think that's what it's called. There's so many.
And they just keep going, right?
So literally, they will come out with a Call of Duty every year. One is usually made by Infinity Ward, the studio.
Yeah.
And then they switch it over to what's the other one? Jeez, I can't think of it right now. But it's Infinity Ward is for the ones for like Modern Warfare, and then like the Black Ops games is the other Treyarch.
Okay. I don't even think
studio.
I've heard of that.
And so you can tell the difference between the two styles of Call of Duties, even though they're technically all in the same universe.
For those that don't know, Mike was actually one of the beta testers pretty early on, right, for Xbox?
Yes,
the Xbox controller?
The Xbox adaptive controller. If you folks haven't seen it, I always direct people to the Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, dude, that one was incredible.
Yeah, and it's a wholesome video commercial, and it usually shows what the Xbox adaptive controller can do is basically bring anybody to game.
Yeah, and then it also, like, the commercial really did a good job of portraying like how gaming can affect lives, especially for younger people that are paralyzed, and even people that were born with disabilities,
who didn't think, had no gaming in their future. Like, there was no even thought of gaming because it was the controller. Really, the controller was the biggest thing.
Yeah, totally. And there was a big thing with like the Wii.
Yes.
When that first came out, and I got injured right around the time the Wii was released.
That's
so
kind of funny.
Actually, my mom got me one for Christmas.
Oh, really?
And
before or after injury?
After.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, after. She would have never bought me a video game system.
Ever.
I got she bought me, I think, maybe 2 video game systems in my life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Growing up with like an Asian mother, single Asian mother. She always wanted me to do good in school, and I actually wasn't even allowed to play video games on the weekdays. It was
That's hard.
I could only play Fridays after I got home until like 9 p.m.
The younger
on
generation
Sunday.
that's listening to this think your mom is like hardcore.
Like straight up
Yes.
Nazi. Yeah. No, and that's kind of the way it was. So I never really, I don't know if I would call myself a gamer.
Yeah.
I loved playing them, especially like back when like Nintendo.
I would consider you a gamer. I mean, really, it's just loving games.
Yeah.
Is really a big thing because everybody has their own style of what kind of games that they play.
True.
Okay. Usually when people think of gamer today, the first game that they think of that everybody knows is Fortnite.
Yeah.
So
and
I
honestly,
associate everything with that.
I couldn't even, if you showed me a screen image of Fortnite and 3 other games, I probably couldn't even pick out which one was Fortnite.
Right.
Like, that's no shit.
But you know the name.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe that's
phenomenon.
just because of how like social media is. And,
Exactly. I mean, you hear tournaments that this kid won $3 million.
So that blows my mind that opportunities out there for kids, because it's kind of like now kids are like striving to be professional gamers versus professional basketball players or football players or whatever.
Yeah.
But
esports is on the rise. I mean, you see it on ESPN now.
yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, the game that you usually would see. It's called Overwatch, and it's a team-based shooter. So there's a lot of strategy involved. So
Yeah.
when you could find a game where you can have pretty much even ground across the entire board, that's where competitiveness comes into, like fighting games.
Yeah.
Fighting
Yeah,
games is
I've
like
seen
the
that a
prime
lot.
Example, Street Fighter. There's huge tournaments that go on. There's one in Vegas that goes on every year.
Yeah, I saw. I mean, they have like Madden tournaments, obviously, and all that. And
Oh yeah, Madden tournaments are.
have you pretty much played games most of your life?
I started. Yeah, I honestly started. My brother had the Nintendo, and my first gaming experience is really being the unplugged Player 2 on Super Mario Brothers. So you think you're playing the game, but you're really not. So I had that type of growing up with my first experience with gaming. And then I think my first system is probably going to be the Game Boy.
Okay.
The original brick Game Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had Wario on there. I
Tetris
had
was a big one.
I had Kirby Pinball.
Yeah. Zelda.
Metroid. I even had Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was so cool. Punch and kick, and you just do all kinds.
I never
of
had the original Nintendo or the original Game Boy, but my neighbors did.
Oh,
so
you
I would
just
go over there sometimes and play.
I didn't have I didn't really go after the Game Boy. It wasn't really. I didn't go to like Super Nintendo or 64 or anything. I've like my dad bought me a Sega Genesis. Yeah. And then there was this other thing, because the Sega Genesis is a 16-bit graphics. So if you keep on so if you want to compare the graphics of what Nintendo is 8-bit.
Yeah.
And then Super Nintendo and Genesis is 16-bit. So it just makes the graphics look better, and like everything just looks nicer, and you could just like design it a little bit better.
Yeah. I vaguely remember my first system. It was like a Sega Mega Drive.
Wow.
Yeah, and I really don't remember a whole lot of it. I remember I had Rambo.
That sounds awesome.
And it had like a rifle or some kind of gun, and that probably began my little obsession with the military and guns and all that. So I guess my dad would be to blame for that one. And then I remember he got us a Super Nintendo, and that was when you had Star Fox and F-Zero.
Yeah. Oh, F-Zero was awesome.
Super Mario Brothers. We played a lot.
Mario Kart.
Yeah, the original Mario Kart was on there.
They had a lot of like really cool
all
games.
what was it, like Final Fantasy 3 and Chrono Trigger.
Yep.
Those were yeah, I spent a lot of time playing those, but
I never really played RPG games until Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, that was my next system after the Super Nintendo was the
PlayStation 1.
PlayStation 1. Yeah, we got it a Costco bundle pack.
Wow.
And it was like one of the Madden games. I can't remember which one. I think Brett Favre was on the cover.
That's when there was like Game Day, and then there was also Madden. So there was like the whole rivalry on what was the better football game.
Okay.
And then, of course, it ended up being Madden. Because Game Day.
I don't even remember. I vaguely remember Game Day.
Yeah, Game Day. They had, I think it was like up to 2000. I mean, I didn't really play football games like that. I played NFL Blitz.
Yeah,
that was my football game.
So that Madden game was actually like kind of my first introduction to football.
Okay.
I never like I didn't grow up in a household that watched football. Or anything, so I didn't really know anything about it.
Right.
I didn't really understand the game, but it was the Madden game where I started playing and I started figuring out like the rules and
and that's what's really cool about the game is that you can learn football just by playing the game.
Yeah, everything I know about hockey and soccer.
Wow, see, that's incredible. Like I honestly don't know anything about like with baseball and
pick up a baseball game.
Yeah, I'll probably just pick up a baseball game and just play.
Because you know how I learned all the rules in baseball? It was Ken Griffey,
Ken Griffey
whatever game that was. It was it was on Super Nintendo. It was like Ken Griffey's like Super Slam or something.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like pretty much almost all of my like sporting knowledge came from video games.
Yeah, I never really growing up I never really played sports.
Yeah.
At least like not like pee-wee football or anything like that.
Yeah. I played soccer
my dad didn't really want me getting hurt, super early on
at
an age cuz you probably saw some injuries and I get it,
know. Did you end up playing any sports like in high school or?
So, in high school I was going to be on the swim team.
Okay.
And I was already on the team. I was just like learning how to do like all the like the shallow dives and everything.
Yeah.
And, I was going to do backstroke and breaststroke for my events. But I was going to practice and focusing on practice. I quit my job, like my high school job. I was a cashier at the PX.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where was this at, by the way?
This was in Fort Leavenworth.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went to Leavenworth High School.
Nowheresville, Kansas.
Yeah, exactly. And I was there only for my senior year. 5 years before that, I was in Hawaii.
Okay.
So middle school, all of middle school and high school, all the way up to junior year. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad, he was in Special Forces, so he did a lot of Pacific stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was in first group, and he was I remember we went to Guam. He was a professor of military science there.
Oh, that's very cool. So you got to live overseas.
Yeah, do like a little bit overseas. It felt like more like the States to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because this is all military people and everybody spoke English. Like in Guam was awesome.
How old were you when you were living in Guam?
Guam was like first and second grade.
Okay.
So that was.
Yeah, so you should have some memories of that.
Yeah, oh man, we were in an 8.3 earthquake.
No shit.
I remember all the snakes that were there. Typhoon Omar was the typhoon I remember. They didn't call them hurricanes. Everybody calls them hurricanes here.
Well, because typhoon, they're in the southern hemisphere.
Ah.
So they spin the other way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning something new.
Well, I try to teach a thing or two on the podcast. It's not an educational podcast by any freaking means, but I try to get in there sometimes.
Yeah,
drop some knowledge, and I learn a lot from like my guests too.
Mm-hmm.
I actually learn quite a bit, and that's actually like part of the reason why I wanted to get you on here was just to kind of venture into this adaptive gaming thing because I never really have tried
been a
it.
Journey.
So
I honestly started this journey. I'm gonna say right out of rehab in 2012. I got injured in 2011, and so that was in August 7th, and so I've been injured for 8 years. And that whole time, right after I got out of rehab, it was like I got a PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
And the reason why I got the PlayStation 3 is because of the controller. When I was looking at how people who are quads were playing, and I went on YouTube and just typed in quadriplegic plays Call of Duty, and I found a guy. He's also a comedian. I don't know if he's around. His name is Ask a Capper, and he's like a famous sit-down comedian, and he's a really cool guy. But I saw him play Call of Duty, and he played with his face. He was a high quad, so he couldn't really use his hands, but he would have his hands up and have the controller resting, and then he would use his face to manipulate the controller.
Yeah.
And he would play there's a game mode called Domination where you have to capture 3 points. He would be chilling out in the middle point, which is like the hardest. It's the most contested point. But he would be had like a riot shield, and he would like mine the field out, and he would just go crazy with it. And he was able to play in his own style. And so that kind of brought me to the point where I was like, okay, I don't have to play like I was always playing. I could find a role and play it that way. Depending on the game. Like objective games are like that's what I love playing.
Let's back it up real quick.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you got injured in 2011.
Yes, August 7th, 2011.
Just I mean, you don't have to give the whole fucking detailed story, but what happened? You were an active duty Army captain.
Yes,
actually.
I PCS'd from Colorado Springs to Fort Lee. And I was involved in a motorcycle accident. We were riding in a group ride with a whole bunch of similar motorcycles, SV 650s, and I was riding with the group, and the ride was safe with the whole group. Everything was safe on that.
Yeah.
But then we decided to go back home because it was about to storm. And so we were on our way back home. It was on a country highway. So if you think about it's 2 lanes going one way, then a grass median, and then 2 lanes going the opposite way. And with that, we were just riding on the left-hand lane, staggered. I was behind my buddy, and he was riding with his sister, 2 up. And there was a stop sign for the intersections.
Yeah.
So people are trying to like cross and go into the other intersection. They have the stop sign, and then they have to go into the median, and then they can merge onto the road. The driver or the pickup that was that cut us off was failure to yield, or saw us and was thinking, oh man, it's either go or stop in the middle of the road type of thing, and so he decided to keep on going.
Yeah, he must have just miscalculated the speed and
that's what I was thinking, because it was about the speed limit was 65 on the highway, and we were like around that speed.
Of course.
I mean,
yeah, nobody was speeding or anything.
Yeah, well, at least not at that point. I mean, when we were doing group rides, it was like fun. We try to make you make it safe, and you just make sure no cars are on the vehicle, like are on the road. But when it's just 2 of us, it's like, all right, let's not be stupid.
Yeah.
We just got done with a really good ride, and then unfortunately the truck cut us off. I avoided the truck. My buddy hit the truck on the front. His sister flew over the truck, and I could see her kind of bracing for impact with her arms sticking out, and she ended up breaking her wrists. And they're good. Both of them are great.
Yeah.
They can walk. They don't have any injuries. I avoided the end of the bed of the truck because I knew I was going to smash into it.
Uh-huh.
So I swerved over to the right, and I kept on going. And I tried going into a grassy area, and I thought it was flat, but it ended up being a ditch. And so I went into it and then launched out. And as soon as I started launching out, I kind of like I closed my eyes and did that, basically Jesus take the wheel thing.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever happens, happens. You can't really do anything. Yeah. So I just let it happen. And then first impact is when I broke my neck. And then I rolled a couple times and I broke my leg. I think the bike was on my leg or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we were waiting for the ambulance.
Were you conscious the whole time? Or?
Yeah, I was conscious the whole time. I thought I broke my wrist, which I didn't. It was just spinal shock.
Yeah.
I had a collapsed lung, but I thought it was my helmet that was like kind of suffocating me.
Uh-huh.
And so I had this random person came up to me and, asked, if I was okay, and didn't really want to move in me at all, which was good on them. But they ended up opening my visor because it just helped me breathe a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the rain that we were trying to avoid started opening up on us.
Oh shit!
Opening
so
up
you're
on
there
us.
all broken
Yeah,
and battered
I'm just broken
and
like
shit.
this, and it's just
And
raining on top of me.
And could you move anything at that point, or?
I couldn't.
Yeah, that's.
I didn't know if I could move my arms or anything.
When I got injured, I couldn't move my arms at all. So.
And my wrists hurt.
Yeah.
I felt like my wrists were broken. I think it was just damaged because I had my hands on the handlebar or something like that. But pretty good strong wrist 2.0.
Right. Yeah.
2.0.
What's crazy is how many people have, like you and I we fall into like the two categories of the most common injuries, like diving and then driving, whether it be a motorcycle or
like
a
a
vehicle,
car or something,
rolling a truck or something. So it's like, yeah, we're two examples. We're two statistics, but
I'm glad I had all my gear on. Being in the
I
Army.
I was just gonna tell you, man.
Yeah, being in the
thank God
Army,
had the
you
helmet
require
on.
to wear all your PPE, your personal protective equipment.
Do you think you would have if you weren't like in the Army?
Oh yeah.
Still would?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had a sleeve. I still have, my tattoo sleeve.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna wear a jacket because I am not gonna get road rash on my tattoo.
It's an investment.
That was one of the
Yeah.
first things I asked the paramedics was like, is my tattoo okay? The first thing was, is my bike totaled?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
is my bike okay? He's like, no, don't worry about your bike. I was like, oh man. And then I asked about my tattoos, and then immediately I gave him the number to my parents so they could call my parents to tell them that, this is the situation. And I was really nervous, it's like, man, your parents tell your mom always is like, be careful on that motorcycle and all that. And even though, it wasn't your fault on the accident, it's just scary. I felt like it was even more scary to tell my parents of what happened versus me being hurt.
That's the problem with the motorcycle. It's like you can be doing everything right.
Yeah.
But it takes that one person to do something wrong.
And I think I should have focused a little bit more on track racing, because you can open up and it's safe. Like when people wreck, they wreck on there, but it's not like an automobile track like accident. There's all these safety precautions, and the track's made for crashes. Mm-hmm. And you have leathers. You're required to wear leathers, on a track, and that would have been fun. I mean, I'm still considering on doing something like that, going on a track to either like race a car or something, or Miata.
Do you still kind of miss like that?
For the first 4 years, I was
speed.
The first 4 years I was trying to find a way to get on a motorcycle again. Mm-hmm. I was obsessed with it, and then now I'm shifting focus on things. I have the gaming going on, the adaptive gaming, and advocating for that.
Yeah.
And then also with Oscar Mike with the Militia and with the Rugby, quad rugby. That's like two big things that I like focusing on now.
Yeah.
And that. The motorcycle thing is really an afterthought. It was more of an obsession.
We'll get back into gaming here, but I just wanted to ask one more question.
Yes.
You have been involved with Oscar Mike for the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, maybe?
Honestly,
4?
It was probably like 3 years, but it seemed like last year was more of when I felt more active.
Okay.
In the organization.
Because you and I met in
man.
Did you go to the vet games in Virginia?
My first vet games was the 32nd ones in Virginia.
2012. I think that's when we met.
I was less than a year out of injury.
Yeah.
In a power chair. That's when you first met me.
I think that is when we met, because our parents. I think our parents met because your mom is Thai.
Yeah.
My mom's Lao, and they just gravitated to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
They probably
right next to each other.
My mom probably looked at your mom and was like, "Hey, where can we go get some good Thai food?"
I know, right?
Because everywhere we go, she's just like, "Let's go get Thai food." I'm like, "Mom, you think we're gonna be able to find good Thai food?
Food that you like?
Kansas? Like, come on."
It's funny. My mom had a Thai food in a restaurant in Kansas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was called Bon Thai or House of Thai.
Oh, Bon Thai.
And it was a super small. It was about the size of this. area.
Okay.
Right here, like this, the dining room area. Super small kitchen, 1 bathroom, super like 2 or 3 tables.
Did you guys do pretty good out there?
I think we did, especially during like lunch hour and
Mhm.
dinner. Just people would just come in out the door.
Yeah.
And we'd just be waiting. But in between, it was hard, and because there was like here and there,
Yeah.
and it wasn't, we're not doing like hardcore advertising. It was a lot of word of mouth. My dad used to teach at the CGSC school, Cass Cube, in Fort Leavenworth. And so, of course, it's free advertising. Hey, you guys like Thai food? My wife has a Thai restaurant.
Right.
Go over to the Thai restaurant.
Did you ever work there, or were you too
Definitely.
young? Yeah.
No, my parents had me work. My mom had me work. I could
Mhm.
run the entire business. I was able to do the books.
Yeah.
I actually learned how to cook at
Yeah.
the restaurant, and learn how to actually fry things properly and prep and clean and all that stuff.
My aunt has a Thai restaurant in
That's
Sydney.
cool.
Half my family, pretty
say
much my
Sydney?
mom's entire family lives in Sydney.
Australia.
Yeah, I think I've told the story before on this podcast, but the quick rundown version of the story is after my parents left Laos after their civil war, they crossed the Mekong River, pretty much swam using different flotation devices and shit. And they were in Thailand for, I think, 2 years as refugees.
Wow.
And what ended up happening was my mom came to the U.S. with her uncle. And she was thinking her 4 sisters and her mom was going to be right behind her.
Wow.
But what ended up happening was the U.S. kind of closed down, not visas, but like refugee status. And they were like, we can't take any more refugees.
Okay.
So they ended up going to Australia.
Wow.
So I got 4 aunts, and my grandma, when she was alive, was living in
And
Australia.
they have an Aussie accent and everything too. I mean,
100%.
wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah, and
I've
they
been
always
to Australia before.
They always make fun of my American accent.
Well, especially when people look at you, they're not going to expect. I call it a country accent.
I guess. I don't know. It's been called a lot of things. I don't really. I'm just me, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I grew up in Oregon, so it is what it is. I got a little bit of a West Coast accent.
I've had a lot of people say that I'm either from Hawaii or Cali.
I can see Cali for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so one of my aunts, she has a Thai restaurant in North Sydney that does really well,
Really?
and I used to go visit during the summers.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom would just send me there in the summertime to just like keep me out of trouble.
Oh man,
and-
I would get in so much more trouble over
Well,
there.
no, because like to pay for my ticket, I would have to work in the restaurant.
Makes sense.
I liked it, and I learned how to bus tables and take orders, and then
You learn a lot of stuff when you have to work at a
cooking.
family restaurant.
Yeah, and I learned how to cook, and that was like a really valuable skill. Because I mean, even before then, I liked to cook. Because she was my mom raised us as a single mom for the longest time until she married
It's
my
like,
stepdad.
sure, you can't have her cook all the time.
Yeah, so I was cooking, me and my brother, like eggs and ramen noodles.
Yeah, pretty much
and-
like the simple stuff, and it's like I need mom food. Like, mom, you
Yeah.
got to take care of this. I'll help you prep it.
Yeah.
Like,
So then,
I
my
need the
my
touch.
my aunt, my uncle, they teach me how to cook.
Wow.
Pad Thai and pad see
Oh
ew
man.
and like
Ooh, it sounds so
the
good.
Thai fried rice.
There's one Thai restaurant here that I would recommend anybody to go to in Colorado Springs. It's called Thai Mint. And my mom, I think I brought my mom there, and she really likes it.
Yeah,
I
and
feel like
that's-
it's like closest to what your mom makes.
If it's Thai mom recommended,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's
because they'll give you the straight dope. Like if they're like, this place is garbage. Like,
Yeah,
this ain't
if
real
it's
Thai.
too sweet
This is
or-
Americanized Thai food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Put too much sugar in it.
What's your go-to Thai dish? And don't say fucking pad Thai.
Ah, dang it. I mean, I was a fried rice kid,
Yeah.
so it was cow pod guy, which is
That was the
chicken
first
fried
thing.
rice.
So I kept eating chicken, like chicken pad thai,
Yeah.
or not pad thai, khao pat, fried rice.
Yeah.
And my aunt was just like, all right, you eat this all the time.
You need to try something else.
No, well, you need to learn how to freaking make it.
Oh.
But then she was like, you need to try something else.
Yeah, at first, I honestly didn't really like pad thai until the restaurant, until I had to actually make it.
Yeah.
Cook it. I don't know why. I was just a super picky kid back in the day. Chicken nuggets, all the time. Or if
Yeah.
I had Taco Bell for the first time back in the day, and it was only meat and cheese. I wasn't a vegetable kid. I was like, no lettuce at all.
Oh,
I had
really?
no onions.
Yeah.
Like basically
I didn't
now
do tomatoes.
I can tolerate. I could tolerate a lot of foods. I'm not a fan of like gristly or like chewy, kind of like tripe. That type of consistency.
I don't do tripe.
So I don't like that type of consistency, but I could have anything else, and except for like shellfish, that would kill me.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think it would. I haven't gone back and done a allergy test in a
Oh,
while.
so you can't have shellfish.
Yeah.
Oh.
I found that out when I was 18 at a casino with my mom at an all-you-can-eat buffet with crab legs, of course.
Yeah.
And before that, we're in Hawaii, and this place called Todai's was all-you-can-eat seafood, and we'd have crab legs, and I would eat crab legs, by like the bowl.
What about shrimp? Because there's like a lot of shrimp in Thai food.
Anything that's shellfish. So shrimp I can't have. It limits me on a lot of dishes sometimes. So I just do chicken. I do chicken a lot.
I feel for you guys that have the food allergies, because like
And that's the only thing too, like on food wise. I need to go back in honestly, because I love just trying different types of food, even if if it's once and I'm not a big fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested on like people create these dishes, and I want to know what was their thought process and why they wanted to do it.
That's one of my favorite things about traveling. Is just trying different cuisines. And
Every time we go and travel for rugby, I'm always trying to think of like either the barbecue, if they're known for barbecue,
yeah,
or if they're known for a certain dish, that's what I would get
yeah.
at that restaurant.
Did you go to Louisville?
Yes.
Did you try?
I had the Dr. Pepper ribs.
Okay.
They were good.
What's that about?
Oh man, there's like, I guess they're like the barbecue sauce, or like they marinated, or
They use Dr. Pepper.
yeah, they use Dr. Pepper, and they were fall off the bone ribs. I mean, it was like one of those times where, because when I was growing up, I didn't eat fat. I didn't like any of that stuff. The fat on these ribs just melted.
Yeah.
So I was like literally grabbing the bone and just eating everything as much as I
South,
can.
man. The South knows how to do barbecue. Kansas City knows how to do barbecue too, and I don't know if you'd consider that the South, but like,
man, honest, I would consider that more Midwest.
for sure, yeah.
South.
But Louisville, 100% is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They have a dish there called the hot brown,
Ooh.
and it's like a breakfast.
Sounds
It's
good.
pretty much an open faced turkey sandwich with like mashed potatoes, and they got this thing, they call it hominy sauce, and I don't really know what's in it.
Hominy?
But yeah,
Is it like a holiday days
it's
sauce
kinda,
plus mixed
I
with something?
imagine it's kind of like a hollandaise sauce mixed with like
Something
some chicken
different.
gravy.
Ooh,
It's probably got like
goodness.
it's probably got 8 things in there that's just not good for you, but
Yeah.
it's so fucking good.
That sounds like I can drink a
Yeah,
whole
it's
cup
called,
of it.
It's called the hot brown.
Hot brown. I need to try that next time I go up there.
Yeah,
It wasn't too bad of a place to go up there in Louisville. I liked it. It was cool. Yeah, the games up there,
What did you compete in at the games?
man. So I was
Rugby.
Yeah, I did the rugby. I did weightlifting, which I actually got injured trying to ego lift. And
During
then,
training or during the competition?
during the competition, and then I didn't get to participate in the slalom because of that. It was the next
that's
morning.
my favorite event.
I love the slalom. I'm gunning for Scrappy. Scrap, if you can hear this, I'm getting that gold in Portland.
Shots fired, scrap.
That's mine. Anyway, because I beat him in weightlifting. We're kind of like little rivals.
No shit, you
Yeah.
beat little scrap in weightlifting
Yeah.
because
Well,
if we gave the eye test,
right,
and it might be because he's black and you're Asian and there's certain stereotypes, but I would have 100%
said
put-
Scrappy.
put my money on scrap.
Yeah.
So
It was
fucking good on you.
it was it was on the Smith machine, so it was a different like apparatus this year.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, even Celestine, everybody knows Celestine will easily put up the whole rack, which is 200 pounds.
Yeah, time out. How'd you beat that guy?
I didn't beat him.
He wasn't there?
He got the gold, and the guy, he's a new guy that would put up a lot like Celestine, but he was newer last year. He tried to do a lot, but didn't get any benches recorded.
Oh,
yeah.
So
and then Scrap had one for 100, and then he tried to go up higher and couldn't do it. And then I think tried to do it at like 120, and then didn't do that, and tried to do 120 again, and then failed on that. So he only got 100. So I only got 110.
We actually haven't talked about weightlifting like competitively on here. So actually, I think that might be a good little segue. We can just dive into that real quick and go on a quick little tangent.
Yeah.
But my only experience with competitive weightlifting is at the veteran games. So I don't know how
True.
I don't know how it works in other venues or other organizations.
I think it just goes by. I'm not too sure if it's kind of like how they classify in shooting, like in the Paralympics. You have like so many classes like that.
Yeah. And I'm only really familiar with the quad.
Yeah, and like it was like quad, and I don't even think there is a quad weightlifting division in the Paralympics.
Is it all just weight?
I think
class?
I think it's like either by weight class, and then you're like have full function of your hands, and it just goes by that. Yeah, it's crazy because there's it would be cool to have like a straight up quad weightlifting division.
Now, so and feel free to jump in. I'm going to try to describe how it's organized in the veteran wheelchair games quad division. What you do is you draw cards to determine the order of what you are lifting, and you're using you're transferring onto a bench. You can strap down your legs, and you're using essentially a I don't know how would you describe that machine? Like,
so the machine, the machines in the past they were kind of like loaded plate, not loaded plate loaded. They were I don't know what to say. Like I would just say like, but it's actually a bench machine. It would be a bench machine. It's a bench
press machine. It's not
that has the weights, and you can adjust the weights.
It's not a straight bar with a free weight.
And that's what happened this year. It was a Smith machine. Instead of just a straight bar and a bench, they had the quads use a Smith machine. And it was weird the way that they had us start. Yeah. Because usually you would start from full extension, and then you come back down, and then you go up, and then that's your rep. For the event with the quads, they had us go all the way down to 1 inch, and then push from that 1 inch. Oh, okay. And a whole bunch of people did not like that.
They just weren't familiar with the
and
movement.
So when I did my weight, I did a 110. I felt super good. I was like, all right, cool. And then I tried to bump it up to 140.
Oh, that's
30
a good jump.
pounds.
That's a good jump.
And 30 pounds on free weights or Smith machines is like a huge jump versus like you just put the next one, it's probably about 10, 15 pounds on that. And so you're like, okay, that's you think you can do it. And I was pumped. I was pumped, ready to do it. And I was like, okay. And then so as soon as he unracked it from the Smith machine, I felt the weight, and I was like, "Uh-oh,
not gonna happen."
Yep. And then he was like, "All right, relax." I was like, "Dude, I can't relax. This shit is heavy." And then as soon it was at that 1 inch, and they said go, I tried to push it, and I felt my right on my anterior, right where the collarbone meets in that joint. Yeah. I just felt like this weird crunching, popping noise, and I was like, I couldn't do it. And that dropped down. I took like 20 seconds of rest, and I dropped down to 125, still injured, and thinking it was like, oh, it's nothing type of thing. And then I couldn't even do the 125. Damn. Like I tried to go up, and I couldn't even do the 125. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I know I'm injured. And then so I couldn't. I went to the doc, and they're like, yeah, you can't do anything. You're not cleared for like any other events. I was like, man,
that sucks.
Yeah. So I couldn't finish out the rugby tournament.
That was me
even though our guys got gold. They came out in first place. But that I wasn't able to do the slalom. The slalom it was in that next morning. And that next morning, I was like, no, I can't. I could barely even move. I felt like a full-on quad. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't really push myself. I was scared. It was my first shoulder injury ever.
Our shoulders are
Scary. They're our legs.
they're like they're like your new baby. You have to take care of your shoulders when you're in a wheelchair. You know, you got to make sure you're doing your stretches in the morning.
Yes.
And your stabilizer strengthening your stabilizer muscles. And
It's so important for us.
I mean, throughout the day, just resetting, and because we're always just
pushing forward. Yeah,
pushing forward.
I always
It's
have to
getting
remind
important,
myself to
reset.
adjust my posture.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like I'm just hunched over, and I have to, while I'm doing my weight shift, I kind of just try to sit up and all that.
Yeah.
And my back will start spasming, and I'll kind of have like this spasmed posture, like right now.
Straight
actually.
up, yeah. Well, we can use that to segue back into gaming, but when you go on those like marathon game sessions, like, do you find that you get a little bit more spastic, or your shoulder, your shoulders are more hunched forward?
So I use a lap desk to put all my controller stuff on to play, and you're pressing up on your lap with the entire desk. I mean, it's an intense game. And if you're playing more than an hour, at least for me, I know that my legs will start getting tense, and I'll start feeling like this spasm loading.
Yeah.
And so I'll have to take the controller slowly off of my legs to put it on there, and then spasm real quick.
That's the feeling I get sometimes when I go on them epic road trips and I'm driving. And
oh my gosh.
I can feel it working up, and I'm like, oh shit, hang on.
While you're driving?
Yeah, let's pass this truck real quick. And then I'll kind of shimmy my hips
to make it spasm.
And trigger the spasms. And then sometimes, dude, I'll get a foot that lands on underneath the brake pedal or on top of the throttle, or
I've had that happen when I was at a stoplight. I spasmed, and I didn't think it was gonna hit the accelerator, and it hit the accelerator. I'm glad I was on there, but it was just going wow, just needling. And I was looking around, I was like, oh shoot, and I just lifted my leg, and that was basically it. So we have to be conscious of our legs that have minds of their own.
Are you incomplete? Do you have a pretty good sensation, or?
Yeah, so they have me as an Asia B. My right leg, I can feel tingles. If somebody touches my leg, I feel the pressure. My left leg, not so much. But I have
sharps.
Yeah.
You can feel sharp?
Actually,
if I took a knife,
not like a pinprick. I couldn't really feel that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If you took a knife and stabbed it into my calf, I would feel it, but it would feel
just
like
pressure.
a dull butter knife.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel it as sharp. Same with hot cold. I can tell something is hot.
Really?
But I can't tell that. I don't feel it like it's hot.
Right.
If you took a hot poker and put it on my face, obviously I would feel that as hot.
But if you put it on your lap.
If you put it on my lap, I could tell that's not good.
Especially when something like that happens, my legs will feel spasmy. You know, they'll have this intense tingle sensation. That's why I'm pretty wary on when I get food delivered to me. I try to have something on my lap, just so as a flat surface.
Yeah, I'm the same way when I pull shit out of the microwave.
Yeah, hot stuff.
Yeah.
I'll have one of those silicone mats on me.
Silicone's good, or a cork mat works good, or even
awesome.
if you don't have anything like that, an oven mitt.
Yep, oven mitt
works pretty well.
Exactly. Take hot soup out.
Yeah.
That's all scary stuff. Thankfully, I have a roommate that kind of helps me with that stuff.
Yeah, dude, your roommate's been pretty awesome. He went out and got me some diesel.
Shout out to Nick.
What up, Nick? He got me some diesel exhaust fluid.
Yeah.
So back to gaming.
Yes.
You got injured. Went through the whole rehab process. Did they introduce you to any gaming in rehab, or?
So in rehab, the adaptive gaming program was getting a Wii remote to play Wii bowling, and co-banding or ace bandaging it. They get the bandage and they just wrap it on there, and it's cinched down. Still not really working on the function that you have, but at a very primitive level. you know, when I'm thinking about video games, when you think about, hey, I want to play video games, you think of like Call of Duty or just, again, Fortnite, you know, like very complicated looking games.
Games that you have to push.
Yeah, you have to
buttons
push
and
buttons and all this
use
stuff.
your fingers.
And that wasn't really an option, you
Yeah.
know, for there was no adaptive gaming, like if it's titled adaptive gaming program.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that fun. When I was doing that, I basically was thinking I can't even use like a laptop or anything like that. So they had me get an iPad. So I was one of the first like guys to get an iPad through their program.
Yeah.
Which is probably now something normal.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys. I mean, because when I first got hurt, smartphones were just coming out.
Exactly.
So like the touchscreen technology was still, improving, and I don't even remember. The iPad was later on.
Yeah, I was in Iraq when the iPad came out.
Okay.
It's like 2010, 2011,
Yeah.
or 2009, 10. That was pretty cool to see people. I was doing laundry and just see this guy on this freaking tablet.
That was, when I got my first smartphone, that was my real first introduction to, I guess what you could call it accessible gaming. But it was more, I guess a better term would be quad-friendly gaming.
Yeah, okay.
Because you didn't have to push the buttons.
Yeah, exactly. So motion controls or something like that.
One of my buddies, Kip, he introduced me to like this tank game, and all the controls were all touchscreen.
I played Clash of Clans.
Okay, yeah, those type of games.
Yeah.
And I think the majority of the games that I would say I play are on my phone. Like I play backgammon.
Oh, okay.
I actually play Risk.
Dang.
The board game. I love playing Risk, the board game.
Oh, man.
And what's crazy is I learned how to play Risk, the board game, through the app. I never played it before.
Oh, okay. So now you know like all the mechanics of the games that you can play it. Like
and then
if you want to play it on
I kind of learned a
regular.
little bit about strategy and shit.
Oh, yeah, because they give you tips and stuff on like mobile games.
Yeah, and then just talking with other when I was on Team US and traveling to like Japan, I got to sit next to Ernie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to sit next to Ernie. He's like, "What are you doing over there?" And he's like, "I'm playing Risk, man." He's like, "Oh, dude, put it on 2-player."
Oh,
and he
shoot.
fucking just destroyed me.
Oh my god!
Because before then, I was just used to playing against the computer.
Yeah.
And I didn't really play like online because they have you can play Risk online with other players. It's dope. And Ernie just fucking schooled me, but he taught me a few things, like a couple strategies, because he used to play
all the time.
The actual board game.
Ah, see, that's cool.
Yeah, and I love playing board game. It's just we never. I don't know if it was like we couldn't afford to get Risk, or if nobody wanted to play with me because the game.
That's the thing too. It's like I feel like the only reason I would have a board game is that if my dad would have like played it at one point. And
you never played? You never grew up playing board games?
Like rarely.
Oh.
I mean, I've played like Battleship. I've played like those games.
Yeah.
Like at school.
Like at daycare and shit.
Yeah, and stuff like that. But actually, hey, let's have a board game night type of thing. I never really had that, and so I have that actually here at my house.
You have some board games?
Yeah, I've like that whole pile right over there.
Oh shit!
Like
we might have to.
There's tons of board games.
We might have to break something out.
Card games. There's a whole bunch of things that I haven't really played, but I just like kind of like hosting at my house a little bit.
Yeah.
And
there's something cool about just getting together with some friends, physically.
Yep.
And getting around a table and just playing. Either it's like Cards Against Humanity or
that's a good
like
one
Fubar.
To start with.
Fubar have you played Fubar? Like the military version.
The military version of it.
But like when we were little, man, like we used to play like Monopoly and
those are like the classic games, and then but there's like so many board games out there now.
Now there are, yeah.
I mean, you could get a board game just based upon like a TV show that you like. And then they probably have the board game, like Stranger Things, the board game or something.
Well, they'll at least have like a Monopoly version.
Yeah, any Monopoly version. That they just came out with it's like women's Monopoly. It's like Miss Monopoly, and it's supposed to, it's about celebrating all like the women through history that have like an impact on like history.
Oh.
Whether it's like technology.
I
Or
wonder
just,
where
like,
Hillary Clinton's is.
Oh man,
Yeah, where?
Boardwalk.
You think she's boardwalk?
You think like I would? They probably put her up there.
I
They
don't
probably
know.
put her up there.
If
Park
I
Place
were to
Boardwalk.
say
Who else would be up there? Oprah.
the most important female figure, I was gonna say it's got to be Oprah.
Yeah, Oprah and Boardwalk. And then who's Park Place? Like who would be under that? You know, it's like would Cart
Kim Kardashian.
or like Cardi B? Would they be on like whatever the
Taylor
yellow-
Swift
Taylor Swift
has had more of an impact on America, on American like teenage girls and some boys,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. But no, there's something cool about just getting together, having a few drinks or whatever, and like just playing a
games.
physical board game, rolling dice, picking up cards, like
Yeah. Looking at the
I
person
don't-
and
yeah, I don't know if kids are like doing that nowadays. Like
it's
everything's like electronic, and it's like
the majority, yes, but there are gaming cons out there. I've been to a couple of them that are tabletop gaming, and you do see a lot of kids there, which is cool. Like you even see like like whatever from schools, from like science clubs and stuff like that.
yeah.
You know, but I feel like it's like more niche type of thing.
Right.
You know, if you want to go like for like popular culture, it would be video games. It would be
For
like
sure.
the Fortnite. It would be honestly any of those free games that are out right now are the ones that are going to be super popular, and that's what
Yeah,
friends are playing.
I don't feel like you learn any. Okay, I don't think you learn valuable life skills.
it's a lot harder to. You can, but I feel like it's so much harder.
Yeah,
because you don't see the person, so it's like you could say whatever you want, and you
Well,
don't, and you can't
there's
physically
that, yeah.
see their reaction to anything. So
But I'm also saying, like, you know, when you're just controlling everything with your hands and everything's like instant feedback and all that, like
yeah,
there are. I mean, I think there's probably a different kind of brain development that's going on, but like when when I grew up, my stepdad was a big poker player.
okay,
So I learned how to play.
like Texas Hold'em.
I learned how to play
five
Texas
card.
Hold'em, 5-card draw. I mean, 7-card stud. Like I learned how to play poker
Mm-hmm.
early on, and then also learning how to like calculate your odds
Ooh,
and like
yeah.
learn like
actual math. and
yeah, like
stuff,
hey, I'm going for a straight. I got 7 outs. My probability of hitting this,
is
hitting that,
high
like,
or low. Or,
yeah. And like those I think those might be kind of like life skills that you can apply, like maybe like I don't know, critical thinking or something. But
yeah, no, I mean just making decisions. With like based upon strategy, you know, like trying to figure out, you know, your optical outcome, or like you're just talking about with like probability. You know, if I do this, what's most likelihood of something
Yeah.
happening? And then if it does happen, awesome. But if it doesn't, how am I going to feel? How am I going to react to that? I think that you can apply that to like real life skills.
okay,
I do that like with video games, you know, if I'm like trying to make a decision, like with these games now, you know, it's really dynamic. You have to figure out like, all right, if I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to make the decision and then see how it plays out. And then if it's cool, awesome. But if it's
Yeah.
not, you know, you try to like reflect back on that and you're like, okay, at least for me, before I had like Halo 2 days, I'd just be mad. I'd be like, oh, you know, screw that guy. You know,
yeah.
this guy's a freaking just, he's a god, you know, I don't know. But
So-
now it's like, I always try to find different ways of like going around that problem now.
Yeah. When did it really click for you that you can be a competitive gamer? Like what? Like did it take like finding the right equipment or?
Yeah, I really feel like it was more of the equipment than it was just like the mindset. I was trying to play a game and just I had the minimal amount of stuff on there. You know, it's just the controller, maybe 1 or 2 buttons. And then
And by buttons you mean like the external buttons?
yeah, like external buttons that plug into the Xbox adaptive controller. You can use, and it doesn't have to be buttons. We call them switches. So like any type of switch that you can do, and you can plug it in the back of the Xbox adaptive controller using a 3.5mm jack, and it becomes that function.
Yeah.
Like you plug it into A. Every time you hit that switch,
Essentially,
it's
what
your
you're
A
doing
button.
is you're creating like a drum kit.
Yes, and it's to you, and
Right.
and like how your function is like, okay, when I'm resting my hands, this is where my hands are gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to like try to force yourself in a certain position. It just
Yeah.
because then it just adds strain, and that's like another philosophy going into like gaming is like the physical parts of it. You want to be as relaxed as possible.
Right before we started this podcast, I got my firsthand experience. Oh shit! Hold up one sec. I gotta plug this thing in.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's see. I'll finish my sentence and then I'll let you continue. But
Okay.
yeah, no, we I got to gaming, and what I noticed was, and I've been watching you play for a while, and it was like just watching you naturally work your way around.
Yeah, everything's
A
intuitive.
quote unquote, like your drum set.
Yes.
Like you had it set up for you. And I'll tell you right now, like if you just watch the screen, like if you go to Mike the Quad on Twitch, like, and you watch him play, like you would not even be able to tell that he doesn't have, function in his fingers.
My hands or anything. Yeah.
But then when I jumped on, I found out like, okay, like, Mike does this to hit the trigger and I can't do that. So let's put a switch for me.
Then make it easier for you. Yes.
Right. And I found, and like I've known that like every quad is different, and like you and I are different levels.
Mm-hmm.
But even like people with the same level disability, like a C5 quad is going to have those little subtle muscles that makes his hands easier, or he's got better tenodesis,
yes,
or his hands are tighter so he can open doors certain ways.
Right.
So everybody does something
a little
kind of
bit different.
Right.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
So with me, what I try to do, I volunteer over at Craig Hospital in Denver, and with that, we have an adaptive gaming night, which is basically this is where the first adaptive gaming program is at Craig Hospital. It's incredible. I'm glad I was be able to be a part of it. Xbox also is be able to be a part of it, and we're able to help patients out there with like spinal cord injuries and also TBIs, or traumatic brain injuries. Listening for those who don't know.
It's interesting that I don't know why Craig got like Xbox involved, because I do my the nearest spinal cord or the nearest VA with the spinal cord unit is in Seattle, which is I mean Microsoft
it's right
headquarters.
There. Yeah.
So I don't know why we.
So
involved
right.
in that, but
yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that Warfighter Engaged and Ken Jones. So the whole, like, talking about the Xbox Adaptive Controller, like a real brief history, it came out of this event called a hackathon over at Microsoft. And a hackathon is basically where a whole bunch of people are on a team, engineers, makers, and they create something innovative technology-wise, and it depends on the theme of the whole hackathon. So this one, I believe maybe it was accessibility, I'm not too sure, but at least what came out of the whole hackathon with Ken Jones and his team that he worked with was the precursor to what the Xbox Adaptive Controller is today.
yeah,
He called it like the Switch box or something like that, and it literally was a whole bunch of 3.5mm jacks, and you just put it on there.
I have seen that at the Expo at the Vet Games.
Yeah, and so it was basically that, and then Microsoft decided, along with Phil Spencer, and Phil Spencer was like new to Xbox, as a CEO.
Okay.
And so the vision that he brought in was more a lifestyle vision.
Yeah.
At least with Xbox, connecting people, gaming for everybody, which then also spawned the Inclusive Tech Lab over at Microsoft. That was brand new.
Yeah.
Like when I visited Microsoft for the first time, we went to the Inclusive Tech Lab, and it wasn't even open, to the public. It was just like this new thing that people were trying to make, and a whole bunch of disability advocates came from across the world to this place to basically give input on the Xbox controller, Xbox Adaptive Controller prototype. and they brought us back into this room, the locked room, and
Well,
they
like,
showed it
what
to
were
us.
some of the other people that were there? Like, as far as like disability range.
I believe special effects was there. I think.
What's that?
Special effects is a assistive technology advocate over in the UK.
Oh yeah.
They usually deal with people who have more of like mental disabilities, not really too much like physical disabilities, but like, but they help everybody.
Yeah.
But it's the UK version of like Able Gamers here.
Okay. No, I'm saying like, were there other disabled gamers
Yes.
that they had brought in?
There's a guy, AJ. Shout out to AJ. Only use me feet.
Only use me feet.
Yes, he.
I'm guessing Australian
No.
or Scottish.
No. He's straight up American, but he has a disability. I don't know what it is. Forgive me, AJ, but it's he can only use his feet. He has only a control like with his legs.
Yeah.
So he has like his hand control for his wheelchairs down where his foot plate is.
Good shit.
I've seen him play. He plays video games with his feet. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen a YouTube video of him over at the arcade, like holding one of those light guns and like shooting and playing.
Probably
games.
outshoot me, man.
Yeah, it's
crazy. I
crazy.
tried playing Deer Hunter the
Oh,
other
really?
a couple weeks ago at a buddy's birthday party, and
I'd be shooting does all day long.
It was a shit show because it was a fucking pump action, and it was
Oh,
like,
no.
I was a one hitter quitter. It was like I
You're like,
I got
it's
one
either
shot
I hit it
at
or
this.
I don't.
Yeah, I was like trying to pump. I was like, fuck, this
No,
is
not working.
that was a waste of a fucking quarter, whatever it was. But all right, so we had the dude with the feet.
Yeah, AJ. We also had, his name is Sightless Combat with a K, and he is a Killer Instinct player who is completely blind.
No shit.
And when I played
You're
against
talking
him,
Killer Instinct from N64.
the newest one that's out on Xbox One,
Okay.
they revamped it and rebooted it, and it's a Microsoft game, and it was really cool with Sightless Combat and Microsoft or Xbox, the developers of KI. They got together to create audio cues for certain things.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, so like with like, there's a meter on the bottom of the screen for your character, so then like if it fills to a certain, like there's like three bars, so if it fills one bar it makes a certain noise, second bar, and so forth. And also he can tell if he is farther away, like on the left side of the screen versus the
Yeah.
right side of the screen. He can tell if he's like crouching, like, and he could tell like if he has like a certain power activated.
No.
He plays the guy that's Fulgore, the
And
cyborg
this
ninja.
guy cannot see a thing.
He cannot see at all. He uses everything through sensory with his ears.
Wow.
And he destroyed me.
I'm gonna need you to pull this up on YouTube after we're done
Man,
with
I
this,
would just-
because I'm just
Sightless
very
Combat.
I'm very.
I wish I could. Yeah, I think it just shows him with just like the videos, and not like actually seeing him. He uses this thing called a hitbox, which is essentially like a fighting game controller, but it's all buttons. So
I would just like to.
so
listen
left
to the,
is a button.
I'd like
instead
to
of using
listen to the
stick.
audio feed that he's hearing.
Yeah,
let him
exactly.
do
So he
that.
created a using the Forge on Halo. He created basically his own level, which has a whole bunch of audio cues in the game. When you are hitting the wall, or if you're close to the wall on the floor, it's metal. If you're like more towards the center, it's more like dirt.
Yeah.
There's some type of like generator or something that's in the air, so if you're not in the center, that's in the center. So then he knows where to be, like in the center. And it's so crazy how when you're playing with him, and he's because you play blindfolded, and then it's just cool to seeing for those who aren't blindfolded, just to watch how he just locks in on you. It's so scary. It is scary.
I would be really demoralized
It is scary.
if I got beat by a guy who had
No
zero sight,
no sight.
but still smoked me, like able-bodied or not. Like, I would definitely play the gimp card
Yeah.
and be like, dude, you just beat me because I'm a quad.
Yeah, it's like I can't even hit
Whatever.
this button.
Yeah, dude, what are you doing?
I
you
can't use
got
my
full
fingers.
you got full function in your hands, dude.
Yeah.
Are you even?
I don't care if you can't see.
Are you even
can hear all of
disabled?
it.
Are you even disabled? No.
He's an incredible person. He
that's
is
great,
in the UK
dude. That's-
also. But yeah, Sightless Combat. Shout out to Sightless Combat with the K. Incredible gamer. I really like him. I'm supposed to be trying to get a stream together with him that we can play basically his levels, and I'll be blindfolded on stream.
Yeah.
And I'll just try to play the game
Well,
like he's
okay,
playing the game.
like
It's even ground.
like you get blindfolded, but he needs to like put his hands on ice for like 20 minutes.
So he plays as a quad,
Yeah,
and then I play as a blind person.
or something like, you know, put like athletic tape on all 5 of his fingers.
So I was thinking about doing that as demos when I go to cons. If I'm guesting at cons, I just recently guested at Colorado Springs Comic Con to show like the adaptive setup.
You know what you need to do is just get a like a rugby glove.
Yeah.
And just
And
wrap
almost
some
tape
like
it around.
popsicle sticks around him so they can't use their fingers.
Yeah.
Do something like that.
So they can't really use it.
Yeah.
And
Or make him wear like a boxing
and
glove.
even with the glove too, because it's reduced sensory.
Yeah, make him wear a boxing glove. That's what I felt like when I was playing, man. Was like sometimes I felt like I was playing with a boxing glove. I was just like, what am I gonna do? Like, so.
Fortunately for me, I could feel a little bit of pressure on my hands. So
I'm
I
the
could
same
kinda
way,
feel,
right?
But
Yeah.
I definitely rely on audio cues. The Xbox controller has like really clicky buttons.
Yeah.
So I even hear it through my
Your
headset.
headset. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
actually
No,
helps.
man. Just watching you play games, I'm just like, damn. I think I can get into this.
That took like 3 years to get to like high level or
Okay. Because when I first started, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got when we were playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I kind of got a little bit frustrated, but then you showed me like, hey, we can lock the zoom like when you're aiming. So that kind of changed things, and I was able to get my
a little bit better. Dude,
Yeah, I
you're
was able to
getting
get-
kills, man.
yeah.
So
I was able to get some kills, and that was
that's always good.
that was a little bit that was a little bit gratifying. And then the one of the things that got me interested in video games was the games that I absolutely used to love to play was like like racing games were always cool, Gran Turismo and all that. But like Grand Theft Auto, starting with 3, where you were in that submersive world.
Yep.
Where you can run around, you can go do missions.
You do whatever you want. Basically.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy.
What do they call that? Like a free
Open world?
Open world.
Yes.
Yeah. The open world games, and then like Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
That was
and
a
then-
good one.
And then when they released San Andreas,
Oh yeah, San
I was just
Andreas
like-
was insane.
I was
And
like,
then,
dude, how big is this map?
have you played 5?
No.
So 5 has a really good story. I would recommend if you enjoyed all of those games, I would definitely recommend playing 5.
Is that on Xbox?
It's on all consoles,
Okay.
even on PC. Even on PC when you go to the online mode, there's so much more customization. You can join gangs.
Okay.
There's like things where like it's Grand Theft Auto, so you can go like on a street corner and go sell drugs if you wanted to, and be part of the gang, and then come back. Like you actually run like a daily life of like just being a vato or something.
What if you
like
just
that.
wanted to go do a 9 to 5, put your hours in at Target as a cashier?
Go work at like a convenience store
Just-
that you're gonna
yeah.
get robbed like 3 or 4 times a day.
Well,
and
wouldn't
then-
that be cool though? Like, wouldn't that be cool if
They
you
need the games like that.
What if like
you could be the NPC essentially.
7-Eleven simulator?
They
What-
have that for VR,
For
but
real?
it's not called 7-Eleven. It's called like supermarket employee or something like that, or convenience store. And you literally run a convenience store through VR.
And you go
And you
stock
help,
the shelves,
yeah, and you're like stocking
and,
shelves, and you're like trying to like give people
and
stuff.
then you get robbed and shit.
I haven't seen that part yet. I
'Cause-
that's like the dark side of it.
Because I would like to have like a small hatchet underneath my cash register.
Yeah, so you could like always like grab it. It's like pick your self-defense weapon.
Right.
Metal bat,
Yeah.
hatchet, gun. It's like
Slingshot.
slingshot. Or just the police call button. That's about it.
Baseball. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. One of those things. And then you have to like actually like fight off. They had like this one game too. It's like Bum Simulator or something like that. It's like a controversial game because it's like exploiting homeless people and everything. But the whole concept of the game is just like you're a bum and you're like fighting other bums.
You get to go fight other
Yeah,
bums?
you get to fight other bums.
Well, I mean, that's not even realistic. Like, a realistic game would be like, you get to go stand on, like, a street corner, you know, and you get to hold
holding a sign. Like, so
you get
the
to pick
premise of
when
the
to
game,
wave.
yeah, you have to, like, find a cardboard slab, and then you have to find a marker to even, like, draw on the thing. And so since it's VR, you would actually have to, like, draw, you know, will work for food or, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Stuff
dude,
like
okay,
this.
so the one and only time I've ever given a panhandler money was, I think I was in Portland.
Oh, wow.
I forget what part of town, but there's a lot of panhandlers.
Yeah,
And
I bet.
I was just driving, and I got Marine Corps license plates on my truck, and the dude freaking saluted me and was like, "Semper Fi, devil dog." I'm like, well, fuck. Now I gotta give this fucking guy money.
Yeah, he's like, oh man, you just like
So,
threw on all kinds of respect.
one
on
tip
me,
for
man.
any of the hobos that are out there right now panhandling.
Yeah, just
If you
support
see
your
those-
vets.
If you see those license plates, give them a good shout out, and they'll be guilt tripped in to give you a buck.
I'm trying to give people water, give people like.
Oh yeah.
And
I do
just
that.
like,
I do
just like
that.
energy
I do that when I
bars.
travel. Like if like say we're in Louisville,
Yeah.
and we're out at dinner, and I got some leftovers. Or
Right, yeah, and
I'll,
you just
I'll,
go and you
I'll
see
box
somebody.
it, yeah,
Mhm.
and then when on the push back to the hotel or where
Find
we're
somebody.
going,
You're gonna.
I'll
run
just
across somebody.
ask someone, like, hey, are you hungry? Like, hey, I got these leftovers, man. Like,
Yeah, and it's probably like a good amount of leftovers because like every time we get done with like
American portion
day.
controls are ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty ridiculous.
But even like I'll take like the free bread they give you.
Yeah.
Like I'll wrap that up and throw some
Dude,
like
that's-
butter or
it's
whatever
like,
in
and
it.
honestly, it's better than nothing too. And it's like.
Right. No,
would
and
love to have some
I
bread
do
if
it.
I
I
was
do it
homeless.
completely selfish. Just like to get that warm and fuzzy for myself.
Yeah,
but
I mean, the
helps
intrinsic
them.
feeling is cool. I mean, and when you break it down, it is selfish. But when you think about it in the big picture, it's not that as selfish because you're helping somebody else. And even though you're trying to like, it makes you feel good. And when you do it, it makes you feel good. So
Right.
then you just do it.
Yeah, and it's
And honestly,
that
that's
might
like-
be
and
that might be
it's-
the best thing that dude eats all week.
Yeah,
Like,
and honestly, that's not really a bad thing.
well, think
it
about how
can't
much.
be.
Think
It
about
can't
think about how
People
much
don't do
fucking
it.
how much fucking waste.
I've thrown away a lot of food.
Yeah. I
honestly.
try not to, just because I have like that, refugee mentality.
Yeah.
So and
try to
it
consume
sometimes
as much
hurts
as
me
possible.
because like I'll order, especially when I go to like Olive Garden, because I always try to finish everything on my plate.
Everything, yeah.
Just because I'm like, well, things didn't always used to be like this.
Exactly,
you
and
know?
and a lot of our society has like they haven't felt that, they haven't been through that experience,
Yeah.
or even had like their parent go through that experience.
I can only speak from my experience, and I'm sure there's definitely been people that I know that grew up worse than me.
Right.
But
There's probably
I grew
definitely-
up knowing that I was in the lower class. Like
Really?
I knew I was.
I
poor.
was fortunate because my dad was in the army and everything
Mhm.
that I felt like I was well off.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shoot, I don't have to worry about like I don't hear my parents complaining about bills with doctors and
but
all that stuff.
See, the
and,
thing
like,
is like it never really like bugged me, like knowing that, like my mom had to work, like almost 12 hours. Like I'd get dropped off at our neighbors at
Yeah.
like 5 a.m. and she'd be gone till 4 or 5, and like it was, and she was working weekends. and,
honestly, see, I
like-
wouldn't have like appreciated that until 5 years ago. Like
Yeah.
5 years ago is when I started appreciating life and
Yeah.
just trying to understand everybody's situation.
Right.
And it's easy for us to be like, well, I'm a quad, I can't use my hands, but I'm still doing stuff. Like, why aren't you doing things?
Yeah.
And I had one of my friends, she was telling me that, the people's worst experience, that's all they have to go off of. They can't go off of like something like how we went, a spinal cord injury if they've never experienced it. So their
Yeah.
worst, that's their worst. So like until they actually find something else that's actually worse,
Right.
it's not, they can't understand it. So it's like, is that them? Can you blame that person? For that? And when you break it down like that, Can't really?
I think they're just trying to relate, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're just trying to, like, I don't know what you're going through, but this is the worst that I've been through.
Yeah.
Because you get that shit sometimes where you're
be
like,
oh man,
I know
remember when I broke my arm, I couldn't use my hand.
Right. Yeah, you get that. And it's like, well, this
It's
is a little
cool.
bit different.
It was like, yeah, that, and after 6 weeks, you're good,
Right. I don't get too worked up. I know there's some people that like get kind of really bent out of it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I mean, at the end
Not
of the
many
day,
know,
I
not
think they're just
many
trying to
know about
relate.
our world.
I certainly didn't until I got thrown into it.
Exactly.
I didn't know anybody paralyzed
Exactly.
or in a
I had
wheelchair.
nobody that in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the dividing lines.
My only experience was with the mental disability.
Okay.
One of my cousins has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And I went to school, with a little couple like autistic kids.
Yeah.
And, we had the the special needs class.
Yeah, yeah.
So I knew about that.
Yeah,
but
that part, but not spinal cord injury.
this is gonna sound kind of bad, but man, I kind of assumed that everybody in a wheelchair was like a little bit retarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like it was kind of like my ignorance.
Yeah.
Just to the world,
and it's cool. Like once we get into that, at least once the whole cloud settles from being, like having a new body and everything, that's a huge shock to everybody.
And
you start looking more as a bigger picture.
That's why I think it's really important for us to like get into the community.
Yes.
And go grocery shopping.
Yeah. No.
Go to the concerts. Go to the movie theater.
Right.
Go.
Just do quote unquote normal shit.
Right, but and then like even in like your gaming community, quote unquote normal shit. Kids fucking game.
Yeah.
That's normal shit to them.
Exactly.
So it's like to get someone like you who has a physical disability in their fingers to, still get into that community and, thrive, kick ass, fucking slay bodies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where I think we can start like raising the awareness.
Yes.
Get fewer people to fucking stop parking in our parking spots, and
it's pretty hilarious. Like at first, I was like all up in arms, and I was in the power chair at the time, and I'd be like, I'm just gonna like roll over my ramp, and if it hits my handles hit their their vehicle,
Fuck
then
this
whatever.
puto.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then now it's like I'm not as knee-jerk reaction to it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Knee-jerk reaction, there's this thing in the Army we call a tactical pause, that, you have your knee-jerk reaction. They're going to happen, but taking that tactical pause and just look at it just a little bit, you could see things aren't as they are, or you could feel, you can understand a certain perspective, and it doesn't make you as hot-headed as you are, and
That's
you don't
the difference.
and you don't look like a crazy vet.
That's the difference
Yeah.
between you Army boys and us Marines.
Yeah. You're like,
We just have
fuck
one
you guys.
reaction. It's just to kill.
It's just a kill. It's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you guys doing?
It's like, oh fuck, I'm startled. I'm gonna go kill. Not really, but
I mean, I was a paper pusher anyways, so I wasn't an infantry boy or anything. I was a logistics guy.
You still served.
Yeah.
What, we're recording this on 9/11, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to get this up on air, so this might come out a little bit late. But I kind of feel obligated, with it being such an important anniversary. Like, we kind of have to address this day. Where were you when 9/11 happened?
Wow. So September 11th, 2001, I was in Hawaii. I was a sophomore in high school, and it was just like the entire day was eerie before I even knew what happened.
Because Hawaii is
like 4 hours,
Mas Holmes.
like 6 hours.
It's got to be more.
I think it's like 6 hours ahead,
isn't it
like
three-
behind.
It's like
east.
3 or 4 for Wes.
It's for Pacific time. It's like 3, and
Yeah.
I think it's like 4
Another 4.
or 5 or
So
something. Yeah,
7.
4. So it was insane.
Yeah.
So my dad. So I'm assuming that the time that it happened, it was super early in the morning. My dad got a call. and I didn't know what was going on because it's so unusual to get a call like so early in the morning before the sun was up.
Yeah.
And so I went to school, and then like the whole mood of like the school was weird. And then we finally went to the first class, and then we were watching the TV, and then saw what happened, with like the plane crashing.
This was completely the aftermath, like both towers had already fell.
Yeah, everything already happened. We were
yeah,
just
because I want to say
watching
that
it.
was at like 10:30ish.
Yep. And so by the time we were up, it was 10:30, so it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And so by the time I was at school, it was like 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like 3 hours have passed of all this chaos going on over in New York. And everybody like uniting to get together. Like, I had no idea what was going on. We were on a freaking island.
Yeah, yeah, and that's like Hawaii. Like, they're kind of...
It's definitely isolated.
It's the U.S., but you kind of feel like...
It's its own world.
The things in the mainland, the problems in the mainland don't really affect the island.
Yeah.
Like, for the most
100%,
part, right?
I agree.
Like, you look at, like... And I don't want to fucking curse them, so I'm not going to wood, but, like... I imagine how they feel, like, about all the school shootings that have been going on, because, like, there really hasn't been anything in Hawaii right now. But, like...
And I think the gun laws over there are a little bit different, too.
A little bit more strict. And then you can also control it a lot better because you are an island,
Yes.
Like, here, it's like, everybody always points to...
Out-of-staters.
They always point to Chicago for the example about gun violence. They don't realize, Indiana is only a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
One of the biggest gun shows in Indiana or in the U.S. is in Gary, Indiana. It's not even that far from Chicago.
That's incredible.
And they still have the loophole where you can private sales. You don't need it doesn't require a transfer or background check.
Wow.
Yeah. So like you can straight up sell, somebody.
Like not even like a simple background check. Like, hey, we need your social and your.
I can sell you 4 AR-15s in Indiana in a private sale with no documentation.
Wow.
Not even required. And that's a 20-minute drive from Chicago. So like Chicago is not good example about.
Yeah, they need to look at more of the demographics and the events that are going on.
It's going to become a federal thing, but like let's not talk about gun control right now. We can get back into it later.
Yeah, later.
9/11. I mean, I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
I remember I was the first one in my house that found out about it because I would normally get up early.
Okay.
I think I got up at 6 o'clock, and I would always go do my shower, and I was listening to the radio, and it was normally like a kind of like a comedy talk show type
something
thing.
Was different.
And the tone was just completely serious, and I was like, "What are they doing? Like,
what's going on?
This isn't funny."
Right.
And they were talking about we don't know what's going on, like a plane hit, the World Trade Center, and so I went out to the living room, turned on the TV, and I was like, "What?" And seeing the footage, and it's like, "Shit!" I went and woke up my parents. I was like, "You guys gotta wake up! You gotta see this!" And we turned on the TV, and a couple minutes later, the second plane hit the towers, and that was when I realized, man, I was like, "This isn't an accident,
right?
Like we're under attack, And that's when things really clicked for me, and I was like, we're gonna be going to war.
Yep.
Soon.
Something's happening
with somebody.
Yep.
And I was just I was completely
the
blown
biggest
away.
Target. I mean, it was super easy, Saddam. So like that and freaking.
Well, I found out. I mean, later that night, I got on the forums and I heard about Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan, and I was
like, who's this guy?
Where the fuck is Afghanistan?
Yeah, what's Afghanistan?
No idea where it was. And
you look at these guys, you're like, how did these guys
pull it off?
Like, we're the United States of America.
We've spent more money on our defensive budget than any other country,
exactly,
or the next 7 countries combined.
Like, our technology is like driven off of war.
How did we let this happen?
Yeah.
And what really blows my mind now is, it was 18 years ago. So somebody that was born right now, 18 years prior, has no recollection of ever seeing those events live. Probably no memory of it happening. And they still have the capability of enlisting and potentially going and fighting in Afghanistan.
Yeah. Still.
In
Afghanistan.
18 years later. And
I
that
had some people that just came back, like people from 10th. You know, they came back and they still had casualties. You know, it's still crazy.
Yeah,
out
there
there
was just an attack not that long ago. Suicide bomber in Kabul. And it's like,
wow.
why are we still there? What are we doing? Are we really making a difference?
Yeah. And we need to look at the best interest for our troops. Because they're just going. Oh, we need to go? Okay. We signed up for this. Let's do it.
Now, did those events on 9/11 inspire you to enlist? Like, did you, like, when did you know you were joining the military?
I knew I was joining the military actually senior year of college.
Okay.
So 2002, 2003.
So originally, like, senior year of high school, what was your
senior
grand
of high
scheme? Because
school,
when you're
I was
18, you know everything, and you got
I thought
your
I was
whole
going to
life
be a
planned out.
pediatrician, man.
Okay.
I thought I was going to be an Army pediatrician.
Oh, so you knew you wanted...
I knew I wanted to be in the military, like
Yeah.
the Army. My dad was looking at like all different options. He was like,
But you were always pushed towards the officer side?
yeah,
Okay.
because it was the
There's no shame in it.
opportunity that, like, so my dad, he enlisted and went to Vietnam. Like, there was no, like, he didn't do, like, wait for the draft. He just went.
Yeah.
And then he was in SF before even, like, selection was a thing, before, like, if any SF heads are out there, you know, he was there for Flintlock 2. And Flintlock 2, you know, that's a lot of people who know about that. Those SF guys are fossils. So, you know, my dad was like one of the OGs.
What's Flintlock 2?
Flintlock 2 is just a training exercise that they had.
Okay.
I don't know too much about it, but all I know is that when my dad mentions Flintlock 2 to any SF guys, they know how old my dad is.
Mm-hmm.
They know what kind of SF guy he was.
Yeah, it's kind of like
which is really cool.
Yeah,
It's really cool
it's
to
like
see
the
him.
equivalent of, like, I guess, like maybe an OG Marine Raider, or
Yeah.
what do they call SEALs before UDTs,
I think so, yeah.
underwater demolition teams.
Yep.
Like, so okay, I got you.
So it was basically like that, you know, before
Yeah.
the things actually formed, before there was an actual Q course, you know, my dad went through all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to find out more information because he still has a lot of stories to tell.
You know, I have family members that served during Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
and that did kind of inspire me to, like, join. You know, I got an uncle that was a Marine Corps machine gunner during the early years. You know, 66 ish.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, he's never told me any stories about combat,
Yeah.
but you know that he has seen some things. But, like, a lot of those guys, they don't bring up those old memories and stuff.
Yeah, you don't, and you just hear it through like just
What's
a casual conversation
interesting
sometimes.
is, you know, you and I are both in the GWAT era, the
Yes.
Global War on Terrorism era, and we seem to be a lot more open.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, you got the technology. A lot of guys were out there wearing body cams, and they were able to
Yeah,
capture
you could
some
see
footage,
all that
and
stuff, and then
It's become a lot more transparent.
yes.
Where Vietnam, I mean, it was a televised war,
Mm-hmm.
and you know you would watch the evening news and be up to
But
date
you
on
don't
it.
get to
but,
see what the soldiers are filming.
right,
you know,
and like, do you think that gets us into, like, trouble? Because, like, you know, a couple years ago there was some footage of, like, some Marine snipers that were peeing on a dead Taliban.
Oh right. It's so hard to, because, you know, we weren't in that situation. We weren't there. It's like, would you?
Well, to pretend like that didn't happen.
Right. To pretend that it
In
didn't
World
happen,
War
like-
II or World War One.
Right. Oh man,
the
people like
Civil
degrading
War
Nazis.
during-
Like,
I mean,
honestly, if I was in World War II, that would I'm gonna be honest. That I would probably participate in degrading a Nazi, or even torturing a Nazi. Like,
I've already.
you know what I mean? Like,
I've told plenty of people this. If I ever meet a Nazi veteran, I don't care how old he is, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Because I had a grandpa that served during World War
Oh
II.
shit!
So it's like,
Fuck you.
well,
Like,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
care.
I
Like,
don't care how much time has passed.
Yeah.
This is what you did. This is, you
need to accept that.
right.
Make your face stronger because you're gonna receive a lot of punches to your fucking face.
But no, it does seem like there is there's been a huge gap between the GWAT era.
Yes.
Compared to the other
Even
veterans.
like
Even Desert Storm.
Desert Storm, yeah.
Well, I think a lot of it is like social media, people that kind of generally use their military credentials or history as like leverage. Like you see it all the time where people are always asking for like military discounts and that's not why I served.
Right.
I didn't serve to get 10% off
Like
at Home
10%
Depot.
off, so I don't have to pay
10%
taxes
off
on a
at
meal or
fucking-
something like that.
Yeah.
At Kohl's or whatever. No,
but now you see it where people that, and I don't want to really like use this term, but there's really not like a better one, but it's kind of like the entitled veteran.
Yeah. So when my dad went and I asked him, and why, we watched the movie Tears of the Sun, or Tears in the Sun, or Tears of the Sun with Bruce Willis when they were in like Africa or something
Somewhere
like
in
that.
Africa, Navy SEAL. That's all I
And
remember.
so at the end of the movie, it was a Sir Edmund Burke quote. It was, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is when good men do nothing."
Yeah.
And that stuck with me, and that was something that my dad, at least, that was one of his philosophies. And like, even though it was like, we didn't have to be in Vietnam, but bad shit was going on in Vietnam, and if nobody does anything, then it's just gonna keep on going. And he felt, at least with him internally, that I should go there, at least try to do something, help them. And then he was SF, so old school SF, it was train the trainer. So he went there and helped and like train the guerrilla troops and all that stuff. I don't know what else he did, but all he told me was that he trained guerrilla troops, and that was it. So, and he was a demo guy. So he was, I think it was called the 18 Echo. He was an engineer, combat engineer for SF.
Played
He
with
did that
explosives.
first. Yeah, he did the explosive stuff. It was cool to see like his FM, his manual for like blowing stuff up.
Field
It was,
manual.
Yeah, his
for
little
those that don't
field
know.
manual. I don't know which one it was, but it was about where to place explosive and all that stuff and how to make things. And I saw all that stuff. But for me, I was like, I'm not gonna like try to build stuff and like do it.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was cool.
So he was like, when you first told your folks that you wanted that was kind of your career path, that like you wanted to.
I wanted to be a doctor. That was the first thing. When I was a baby, a pediatrician took care of me. I had like hives or something all over me, and it kind of stuck with me. My mom was like, the doctor took care of you and all that stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
cool. It's like, that's cool. I love kids. I want to make sure kids are like grow up, be healthy. They're our future. Just make sure they have like the best opportunity ever. And so I was like, I'm gonna be a pediatrician. Oh, I could be a pediatrician in the Army? Sure. I already lived the Army life with being an Army brat.
I'm going to just go ahead and say I think every Army doctor is a pediatrician because they're taking care of you babies. But that's just the Marine in me speaking.
Oh, that's such a good one. Oh, that's so good. Oh, man, I'm glad you're like the first one that ever said that.
This podcast just wouldn't be what it is without any
if you can't
branch to branch love.
if you can't jab at each other with a branch, like how we talk about Marines always eating crayons and like what their favorite crayon is.
Mine is blue
You like blue?
because it tastes like sky.
If you can't make fun of yourself, it's really hard to fit in, at least in the military. We're a whole bunch of like thick-skinned guys.
I think
and
having
girls.
military humor was one of the things that really helped me with my injury.
Okay, yeah.
Just being able to laugh at myself.
Yes.
Being like, wow, you're
The
fucking
fucked up situation.
You're so fucking pathetic right now. Like I drop, like let's say I drop, like I'm at a vending machine and I only got, 4 quarters and I'm trying to get a fucking pack of M&Ms and I drop a quarter and I'm trying to pick it off the ground.
Oh my God.
And I'm struggling and I'm just like, you look fucking retarded right now. Like,
it's like, just pick up this fucking quarter.
This finger needs to work. Things would be a lot easier if I was a para. Just fucking learn how to laugh at yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
You laugh at every single situation.
That was me when I was gaming. Just like when you get into a gunfight and you're just like, oh shit, all I can do is hold down. I'm just gonna spray and pray. I'm gonna hold down the trigger and it's like just fucking laugh at yourself.
I get myself in those situations, especially it's like I'm the last one alive in like whatever game, and my guys and my homies are rooting for me. I'm like, oh fuck, guys, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull this off like right now, but I'll try. And then you just do it, and you're like,
yeah.
You just laugh at yourself. It's good. Comedy is something that's definitely necessary in our lives. I mean, raw comedy, like really provocative comedy, stuff that you're talking about LGBTQ. You're talking about but it's all focused on us. We're making fun of ourselves as vets.
Right.
We're crazy. We're fucking stupid.
We give everybody shit. I mean,
we care about guns only.
We talk about the Air Force like they're just a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, they're a bunch of pansies. They're in hotels while we're in the barracks.
Yeah.
With no fucking
they get
anything.
They get special pay for being stationed in certain areas.
I'm looking at you, Kara.
Damn.
Shots fired.
And now we got a Coastie on the team that we can pick on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Caleb. We like to call him McGregor. If you guys know what he looks like, you're gonna be like, yeah, call him McGregor.
It's definitely not McGregor. McGregor's infinitely cooler, and McGregor's only beat up one old person. I heard Caleb actually beat up like 3 or 4.
Caleb, really?
That's what I heard. That was just
my goodness, man.
I've been calling him the Red Rocket.
Red Rocket.
So
I think that's your unofficial name within the Militia.
It's going on the back of his jersey.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Please, that's hilarious.
But it's what we do. We give each other shit, even within service. Like give. I mean, there's grunts and pogues. There's fucking fobbits. There's
all
it
kinds
goes
of
on, and it's like we know how to laugh at each other, and I don't know.
It makes a shitty situation a lot better.
Because you're all going through it together.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. Yeah, and that's like last night we watched the Dave Chappelle comedy, and
oh man, that was intense. It was great. Dave Chappelle, you did an amazing job. But whoa,
we went into it knowing that there was some controversy behind it, and coming out of it, I was like, well, was it really that bad?
It honestly, for me, it wasn't.
I don't think it was.
It honestly wasn't. Like when they were talking about like LGBTQ, it's like, honestly, like me, I'm a part of that, but I found all that stuff funny, like hilarious.
Yeah, you just got to know he's up there. He's a comedian. He's telling jokes.
Doesn't
mean what he says.
He doesn't. And he's trying to make you uncomfortable and make you laugh about uncomfortable situations.
But now if there's some truth to what he says, then maybe that might be worth a discussion.
I 100% agree.
One of the ones, I don't want to give like too much of it out of his bit, but he was talking about school shootings.
Yes.
And how pointless school shooting drills are.
Right.
Because a fucking school shooter is most likely going to be a student going through those same drills.
Yeah, and they're going to see the drill, and they're going to be like, okay, this is where everybody's going to go?
This is the rally point. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I just do a distract? Well, I don't want to get fucking tactics out, but...
Yeah.
But, like, it's going to give him some ideas.
Yeah. It does get, like, him or her, but mostly it's been male. But, like...
Name a her. San Bernardino? Accomplished by a man.
Yeah.
I mean, like really.
The only thing that I can think of
Nick,
that
you're
like
in the kitchen. Nate, can you think of a female shooter?
Like school shooter, or even shooter at all?
Ain't been one.
You can't.
The only one I could think of was the San Bernardino, and she was accomplished by a man.
And the only thing I could think of, like female wise, is Lorena Bobbitt. Way back in the day.
You know that guy was a Marine, right?
He was?
Yeah, the guy that got his Jimmy cut.
Oh.
Yeah, he was actually a Marine.
Oh man.
Shit got reattached, and he actually made a couple porn afterwards.
Really?
He did.
Wow.
It's fucking Marine.
You know, I would.
Marine strong.
I would. I mean, shoot. Anybody in the if like, Evil Angel. Hey, if you guys like,
I don't know what that
hit me
is.
up. It's a studio with Joanna Angel, one of the stars. Yeah.
An adult film studio.
Yeah, I was like, hey, if you need somebody that's a quad, that's a niche.
You would do that.
I would totally 1,000%.
I would actually watch that just because I'd be like, I know that guy.
You're like, dude, he's fucking that chick. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Look at that.
You know what I mean? Like, and because I've seen it before, and I was like, dude, are there any quads doing this?
There is.
There's one. His name is Josito, and he's like in Brazil or something like that.
Holler. I know there is kind of like, and I don't really venture too deep into the fucking
Right, in like the porn world.
web, but I have heard that there is a market for like
Chairs and
amputee
shit.
porn and
Yeah.
like gimp porn.
Like honestly, I would have fun doing that stuff. Like,
well, yeah, because you're
I-
having sex.
yeah, you're
on
having
camera.
sex, and it's like, I don't care. It's like the whole novelty of it. It's not like about me being like Big Dick Mike or anything like that. It's like that's the
That's not
premise
going to
of
be
it.
your.
It's
That's not going to be your.
that is
porn name,
definitely
by the way,
definitely not gonna be my name.
it's still going to be Mike the
It's
Quad.
gonna be Mike the Quad.
And the quad means 4 inches
Four-
of hard dick.
Extremely, 4 inches
Around.
Like, it's all around. in radius. That's my radius.
Oh damn.
That's my radius, not circumference or diameter.
Coming in there like a
If
dinner
y'all,
plate.
If y'all know anything about geometry, the radius.
That's pretty much the equivalent of like a
Coke
bucket,
bottle?
like a bucket.
A bucket.
No, a 4-inch radius. It's an 8
Holy
inch. That's an
shit.
8-inch diameter, son.
Oh my god, that's like
That's a small. That's a small pail.
I don't even know if I have enough blood for that.
You would definitely get lightheaded.
I would pass
possibly
out.
pass out.
This took a turn. My crippled friend,
Yeah. No,
hey,
this is what's
crippled
interesting.
people talk about sex in the most hilarious way, especially with, for if they're vets. We have no boundaries, and if you want to talk to us about anything, if you have any questions, you better fire away, and you better be prepared on the answers that you get, because some of the answers might be a little bit weird.
Mike speaks for himself. So if you have any questions regarding quads and sexuality, go ahead and hit him up at mikethequad@gmail.com.
Yes.
And stay off of mine. Don't.
And
don't
if you're a dude, try to refrain from dick pics, because I don't think anybody wants a dick pic. Anybody.
But buttholes are fair game. So
Yes.
send away.
Ladies, starfish.
Have you, I guess while we're on the topic of sex and dating, what's been your kind of experiences with dating in a wheelchair?
So I had a girlfriend before I was injured, and then we ended up getting married.
Yeah.
We moved here to Colorado Springs.
You guys
and it
were
was like a
dating.
year.
You guys were dating before the injury.
Yeah, a little bit, like maybe
And then-
like 2 weeks.
From what I remember, she had plans to come out.
She literally
Before
moved.
your injury.
Yes, she did. Like, cause her birth. So I got injured on the 7th. Her birthday was on the 13th. So she was coming out anyways.
Yeah.
And then she found out that I was injured, and so she came out, and it was like, bless her heart, she was there. She was there for me, like 1,000%. And like she would be there all night, and my parents would be there all day. Like I was so fortunate in the ICU to have people there, because I saw what it was like when nobody was there, nobody came to visit. That shit's hard.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, just to know that like you're not alone in this new process. that
And
you have to go
especially
through.
your parents are there, and they're there like for anything. Like I had no idea. I thought I was gonna fully recover. And you always think that when you first get injured, it's like, oh, I'm gonna walk again. All that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Like with me and her, it didn't work out. It ended up not working out. It was more of like a case of infidelity here in Colorado Springs when we moved back, so she could get more custody of her kid, instead of like 1 month or like every 3 months. It was like 50-50, like every other week type of thing. And I was totally cool with that. And that's the main reason why we moved back here to Colorado Springs.
Okay.
The main reason. And so I got this house, and then, you know, things didn't work out. And then, so we got the divorce, and then she's doing her thing, and, you know, I'm doing my thing, you know.
Now, do you think you would have gotten a divorce if you hadn't been paralyzed, or do you think
it was,
do you think it was a contributing factor?
I don't think it was a factor of like being injured. It was just the fact that it was like the honesty thing, you know.
That's
infidelity is like a dishonest thing,
and that's kind of the point I was going to get into.
It was too much for me. Like now, things are way different. Like my relationship on like what I want in a relationship is way different than it was
right
now.
And that's the point I was going to try to make was like, how old were you at the time when you got injured?
25, going on 26.
And you were in the military.
Yes.
And our divorce rate,
I was about to be a captain. I was going to get command.
Our divorce rate just is not good.
Yeah, just being in the military, that's like a statistic already. Is a divorce rate is like one of the statistics.
Probably something over 50. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly,
like,
yeah, more than 50.
Yeah,
100% agree.
You know, I was dating a gal when I got injured.
Yeah.
And we've been together for, I don't know, probably over like a year and a half, maybe 2. And
wow.
it was one of those things. I thought it was always going to work out, and you know, I got injured, and you know, she stuck around for a couple months, and I mean, bless her, like it just, I probably put her through a lot more than what any. I think she was like 19 at the time.
Okay.
I was 21.
Oh yeah.
You know, we were young, and it was like,
you know,
Craig,
I see a lot of people like that though.
Yeah. You know, it's very common from when you come from a small town. You're just like, well, I got her, and you know, you hear them fucking stories about, you know, high school sweeties and all that shit, and
exactly.
It's like most of the time it don't fucking work out, just because it's like, hey, there's fucking, you know, what, 7-8 billion people on this fucking earth. You got lucky and you met your one and only in your town of fucking 10,000 people.
Yeah.
3,000 people.
Like,
nah,
really?
What the fuck are the chances of that?
Yeah, exactly.
0.
Yeah.
About.
I totally
closer
agree
to
with
0
that,
than
man.
anything. So I mean, you know, and for a while there, it was fucking, it was hard, because I was just like in the chair. The fuck? How am I ever gonna meet someone else? You know, and sometimes I'll be honest with you, man. I kind of sometimes struggle with that to this day, where it's just like,
I do. Now it's like way different. I am more of like, it's crazy, because like the way that I've like become, and like, you know, when you get a spinal cord injury, testosterone level is a lot lower, sex drive is a lot lower, and so I've like thought less about sex and more about goals.
yeah,
And that even though like if I meet somebody and it's like they want sex, I'm like, yo, let's go. You know, I'm 100% down. But in all reality, it's like I could care less right now.
yeah,
You know, because I'm focused on like trying to help people, trying to better myself. Like sex is like a super low priority. But if my partner wants sex, like, girl, like, you better watch out. Like, that's, I'm 100% when it comes to that type of stuff. But I just don't want to do it every fucking day.
You know what's interesting is, and like we're just 2 quads among many.
Yes.
But yeah, no, like you and I kind of align, where it's like, I don't pursue it, and I don't feel bad, like, because I don't go out to the bars, and I'm not out
trying
there
to go get laid.
I'm not out there on
like
the
that.
prowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do know guys that are very consistent on like their Tinder or their Bumble or whatever.
Right.
And they're out there going, you know, to the bars,
Which
the
is
single
no
bars.
problem.
I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
It's just it's honestly not for me, because I think since my injury, what I've done is just really took a good hard look at like myself.
Yes.
And it's like, what's the legacy that I want to leave behind? Like, how do I want to be remembered?
Yes.
And like, and is it like, do I want to be remembered as a guy who went out and was the pussy hunter and just went out and just slayed,
which is cool.
and slayed girls. No, it's
Yeah,
sure.
but
do
what
I want
else?
to be the guy that had an impact on certain people, or like did this thing, like, okay, Tim pushed a marathon in his rugby chair.
The biggest
or,
thing I see with you is the advocacy of quad rugby internationally.
Yeah.
Like I don't see anybody else trying to go to Southeast Asia.
There's people.
know what I
There's
mean?
people that are out there for sure. I mean,
Which is great.
Dave mentioned, the commissioner of the USQRA. He's one of them. He
Okay.
just
Shout-outs.
got back from Costa Rica.
Wow.
He kind of spearheaded the project in Colombia.
Yeah.
And was actually the one that got me thinking about that and the importance of starting
That
wheelchair
is
rugby in other
great.
countries.
Yeah, in other countries, like there's only we only see like 5 to 6 countries prominent on quad rugby.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know, and then I would
anytime
love to increase that competition.
and it has grown. I mean, from the time that I started following the sport, which I'd say would probably be about like 2012, there was like a handful of European teams, U.S., Canada, Japan, New Zealand,
Yeah.
Australia, and that was
Yep.
kind of about it. South America wasn't on the map. I
Nope.
remember seeing Argentina, but them getting smoked. But it's kind of spreading, quote unquote, the joy and what the impact that quad rugby can do for an individual.
It is the toughest team adaptive sport out there.
Hands down.
Quad, para, like I don't care what kind of disability you have, it is fucking tough.
Yes.
And it is great, and it creates, I don't know, this drive for independence with other people. At least with me, when I was like going through the rugby tournaments and everything, I was like gaining experience on being more independent. Because I was there by myself, I just had to make sure like I was like doing things to make sure I was at the game on time. I was suited up.
Well, what it did
nobody's holding my hand.
What it did for me was just show me that independence was possible.
Yes.
Because when I got involved in the sport, man, I was not nearly as independent.
Same here.
Yeah, I was in my power chair when I went to my first rugby tournament.
Oh wow.
And after that, I decided, I met another C5 quad, and he was pushing around his power assist. So I was like, okay,
At least that.
so what the fuck am I doing in this power chair?
Right.
That
It was
kind of the last
awesome.
day.
Like
that was the last day I used my power chair.
So, a really cool story on how me and Tim met. We were over at the 32nd National Veterans Wheelchair Games over in Richmond. I was in my power chair. It was like I was less than a year out of my injury, and I was just going around. I was with one of my homies, Matt Wade, and then he introduced me to Tim. And then Tim, it was like
Matt.
it was literally like probably one of the first words out of his mouth. It was, "Why are you in a power chair?" Because if you look at me and you look at Tim, I definitely have a little bit more function. I'm a C6 quad, so I have like biceps, triceps. I just don't have fingers.
Choose your words wisely. Because if we're gonna have a flex off,
I'll flex off. But
get the measuring tape.
The funny shit was that he was like, dude. He confronted me. It was like, why are you doing this when you can be in something better, and you don't need to do it. And the fact that he had less function, and I knew I definitely had a little bit more function on it. And I was like, well, why shouldn't I? And that was honestly like the day I started to be like, all right, I gotta be in my manual chair more often.
Yeah.
And then now I have the power chair in my garage, and it's hooked up to the battery, and it's not being used at all.
I'm the same way. I don't even have it hooked up. I don't even know.
Really?
I don't even know if it
If
would
the
work.
battery works or not.
It
You
probably
have
does.
to probably replace the battery.
I really wish I could donate it, but with the way the VA works, they just won't let me. But
That's dumb.
totally dumb.
Yeah.
But it's
Maybe
yeah.
you could do something with donating it to your PVA.
Whatever. I mean, it was
whatever.
seeing when I first got involved with rugby, it was just seeing like other quads in my situation doing certain things.
Yeah.
And then just, being open enough and close enough to just like ask questions like, dude, how are you doing your bow program?
Right.
Oh, I use this shower chair.
Yeah.
It's a travel chair. Because, my first shower chair that I was using for travel, it fit into like a carry-on luggage size.
Oh, okay.
And
But
I
it
didn't
was
have
still
much room for nothing else. Then I finally, learned about like,
the new products one.
like the new travel ones. I was like, okay, that one fits right into my wheel bag. And then just learning how to assemble it, and then just picking up little things from just different people. And just, and like, I've said this so many times on the podcast, but like a rugby team, let's just say an average rugby team has 10 players.
Yes.
Each player on average has 8 years. We can agree about 8 years of quad life.
Definitely.
That's 80 years of quad life.
That's true. And it's a lot of knowledge.
Name one doctor that has 80 years of experience in his or her field.
As living as a quad.
Right. Yeah. Finding wheelchair rugby has just been.
And honestly, with like the vet games, that's what it was for me.
Yeah.
And then with rugby, it became even more for me. It's like, well, because like these guys they're doing so much stuff.
Yeah.
You guys are going internationally. You're like, it almost seems like every weekend you guys are out, doing a tournament. I was like, holy shit.
I was when I first started getting involved with rugby, I was completely satisfied with traveling with my parents or a caregiver.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is what
it's going to be.
This is what C5s do. They travel with caregivers. And it wasn't until I tried out for the U.S. developmental team. They called it Team Force at the time.
Force.
And I ended up getting cut. And one of the coaches, he was actually on the same flight back as me. We had like the same connection, like Las
sick.
Vegas or something. And we got to talking on the plane, and he, was really kind of emphasizing that there's kind of an unspoken rule where U.S. is looking for independent players that don't need to have caregivers. And he's like,
I definitely saw that.
And he told me like, hey, you're still very young. Like, you're going to work on your independence. And you're like, there's no reason that you can't be. Because he's like, I've coached and I know plenty of quads that have less function than you that are independent.
Right.
That's
and like maybe the
for
biggest thing is like, I need transfer. That's it.
It was, that
was the only thing. But everything else I could do.
It was transfer. It was bow
bow program is
setting
like
up
a big
the shower
thing.
chair.
Yeah.
Even something as just like, pushing your chair in the airport.
Okay.
Independently.
And that's crazy. It's like
figuring
I
shit
could
like that
definitely do that, but I usually rely on my service dog Pixie in airports. I just like
She pulls
me.
Oh, she pulls you.
Yeah, so when I'm like all around, I'll just hook up, on her harness, and I'll just hold on to that, and then we're able to navigate through the entire airport. But honestly, that's like the only thing I have her do is flat ground.
Yeah.
Pulling. Nothing really uphill. It's like if it gets uphill, it's like I'll push myself.
Yeah, there's certainly those challenges, but it's until you see that another quad similar to you can do it.
Exactly.
Then that's when it really clicks. It's kind of like,
that's why you always look for is like, okay, I'm a 2-0. Let me look at all the other 2-0s. What are they doing? How are they doing things?
Yeah.
Even not just like really independence wise, but more of like gameplay wise.
Yeah.
It's like, what are these twos doing that I need to know to do or at least improve on?
Well, you're kind of like the middle of the pack, so you can always draw on things from what, the 0.5s, the 1s are doing.
Right.
Where it was like me, like I would watch the 2-0s. Like I remember the first time I saw Will Grew, one of my teammates from Portland, like him transferring off of the ground.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that, but I'm going to, like, I learned a couple things about like weight shifting and
right.
Getting your
You're
head
like,
forward.
you just use your arm
There's
out
things you can pick up, but then it was like when I saw how Kip, who's a 0.5 with 0 triceps, transferring into his driver's seat of his van. And I was like, okay, like, because, for a while there, I didn't drive because my transfers were shit.
Yeah.
Up until for the first maybe 2 years of my injury, my
I didn't
transfers were
drive
shit.
until I was divorced. Like
Okay.
getting a divorce. Because she would drive everywhere.
How many years were you in?
Let's see, we got divorced in 2015.
4.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's even longer than me. So I didn't start driving until I knew I could transfer into a driver's seat.
Okay.
And that took me about 2 years. And even then, it was still using the sliding board.
And it was a six-way chair, captain's chair in the Sienna?
Yeah, I had the first vehicle that I had modified for me to drive was a 2008 Toyota Sienna. And I had the 6-way. Once I ditched the power chair, I put a 6-way passenger seat in.
Oh, cool.
And I was mostly just a passenger.
Okay.
But then, yeah, once I got my transfer down confidently, I wanted to start driving.
So I
couldn't
did
even push up.
driver's rehab while I was in rehabilitation.
I had to do the same thing.
And I was like, okay, this is cool, but they had me chest strapped and in my power chair.
What kind of vehicle was it?
Probably a Dodge Grand Caravan.
So it was a
I had
rent
2
van.
of those.
Yeah, I didn't get to drive a van. I had to learn how to transfer it into a what the fuck? It was like a Mercury or some shit.
Oh,
It was like a 4-door sedan. Maybe it might have been a Crown Vic. I don't remember. But it was a
That's
4-door
cool.
sedan. You know?
That's cool as shit. Because, like, you know, everybody transfers into something different. Now I have a truck, which I'm actually going to be going back to the van. I have a truck.
Are you getting rid of the truck?
Yeah.
Really? Why?
I honestly haven't gone off road as much as I thought I was going to do. Or
Most trucks have
used.
never been off road. Even the
Like-
trucks that were built up for off road have never been off road.
Like, I've used my 4-wheel drive only when it was like really, really, really bad snow.
Yeah.
And that's honestly about it. So, and it was just more of a cool factor. The reason why I got it, you know, you got a truck. What kind of dude in a wheelchair drives a truck?
I do.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I was like, you know what? I want to drive a truck. Kind of inspired me, Tim. Except I didn't get the tonneau cover because, you know how the VA is.
Well, I got lucky and my first one got slipped under the radar. Which, I mean, to be honest, I think is complete bullshit because they say that it's an accessory, but when we live in states like we do, in Oregon, Colorado,
kinda
snow,
fucking need rain. You need something to protect your wheelchair from elements.
Now so what we're talking about here is the
it's like a tonneau
Accessa
cover.
top. It's a topper that flips open to the side with the hydraulic.
And then you can use your Reno crane to get your chair out.
Now the VA calls that an accessory. It costs about $15,000, which it is expensive, and you could probably fabricate something up yourself for much cheaper. But what my argument is they'll pay for those ATC conversions and those Rhino conversions.
It's $25,000.
They cost way fucking more.
That's insane.
And it's a lot more modification to your vehicle.
Yeah. You have to move the transfer case. If it's a 4x4, you have to move the transfer case to the right.
And the reason that I didn't want to go with that route was because I didn't want to modify my vehicle that much. I wanted to do a Bruno seat.
That's something I need to think about now. Not modifying your vehicle as much.
Well, the biggest problem that I had with the 2 vans that I had, I had the 08 Sienna and a 2011, was the ground clearance and the ability to not tow.
Oh, yeah.
I did find a custom hitch builder for my 08, so I was able to pull a small trailer.
Do you think you could do anything engine-wise to increase the torque of your van?
It's not that. It's how they have to drop the floor and relocate the gas tank. So everything is towards the rear.
Ah.
So it's like...
That's why they have that plate that goes back there sometimes.
Yeah. You essentially turned your Sienna into whatever year that was, the Pinto, where they got rear-ended and it would explode. But, my problem that I had with the van was I just did not have enough tricep to push up the ramp independently.
Yeah, some of the ramps are really steep.
They're
not ADA.
Now, what's weird is I do have enough tricep
now
to keep my arms locked out, where I can do my transfers.
Okay,
So transferring into a seat
it's fine.
I can get into my truck if it's snowing, if it's raining,
right?
if it's uneven.
But if there's a ramp,
but the ramp, yeah, I could
this.
only push up that ramp once I got my second everyday chair, so it was fitted a little bit more for me. I could do it if I was not tired.
Okay.
If it was not wet.
Optimal conditions.
And it was completely flat, and I had about 8 feet to get a head start.
And we all know that nothing is always optimal.
Never.
But
with the the truck, I'm able to get in. Now it does have some limitations with the top.
No, I definitely see them. Like, say if it's like hardcore raining, and you're trying to get your fucking transfer in, and it's just pouring on.
You're gonna get wet, and I've learned how to deal with that or work around it.
Yeah.
The biggest limitation with the the topper that flips open is parking garages.
Oh, so what's the height when it's all fully open?
I've never measured.
Okay.
But
you're not trying to.
Sometimes you can find those certain spots where
you can open
it up, or you can go to the roof.
It's a little bit higher.
Normally you just go to the roof, but
because like the SCI parking lot at the Denver VA is a first floor freaking thing, but I think it has a fairly high ceiling.
Seattle built a new garage, and they have a high ceiling.
Higher ceiling,
yeah, but you still got to be aware of
shoot. I mean, especially with your topper, man, it's like 15 G's.
Yeah.
Imagine just one crack and it just destroys the entire mechanics of the system.
It is built pretty tough because I have opened it up onto some things.
Yeah.
Oh, another little limitation that I've had to really be aware of is if it gets too cold and it's closed all the way, it'll actually freeze shut. And there's been times where I just, I'm not thinking, and there's going to be a cold front coming in.
And then
you wake up in the morning, you're trying to go to the airport, try to make your flight on time, and now your shell is completely froze.
Ice off of the bed from the topper.
What you pretty much have to do.
You can't turn on your vehicle and it'll just be fine.
No,
it's not working in the cabin.
You got to get in there with a heat gun or a hairdryer.
Dang.
Yeah, you got to find something to fucking warm it up and kind of break it open.
I'm glad I got a heat gun.
Yeah, and now I learned that it also does it when it's hot, because my topper
sticky.
It freaking got stuck when it hit 105.
Dude, that's insane.
So it's just those little things you got to think about.
Little nuances that have to do with it, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going back to the van. It's cool.
Why don't you just keep both?
It would cost me a lot, and I'm trying to reduce the price on a lot of stuff.
You can stop by ordering Fiji water.
That's true, guys. Yeah, I do order Fiji water. I need to.
You got a fridge.
My roommate's laughing his ass off in the kitchen right now. He's like,
"You got a fridge full stock of Fiji." The only time I ever got Fiji water was when I lived in Vegas and I was at casinos and playing poker tournaments.
Damn it! I sound like one of those douchebags. It's like, yo, Fiji or nothing, bro. Always Fiji, bro.
Your words.
Damn it.
You probably got used to it being in the Army. Yeah. They gave you Fiji water and an MRE.
As an officer, too.
And all the good MREs.
Yeah.
Did officers have different MREs?
No, we had the same MREs. But unfortunately, we were in, during the point of our tour, we had DFACs for our TCNs, the third country nationals. And we would have pancake Sundays.
Tell me more.
More about Pancake Sunday. So, Pancake Sundays was really cool because every single Sunday you get to have your special type of pancake, whether it be blueberry, chocolate chip.
This is in country?
Yeah, and this was over at Gary Owen. If you guys know, southeast Mason, near Iran border. It was in that area. 1 square mile. It was nice. It was pretty chill. We had a gym. And we had showers that had water for the most part.
Hot water.
The hot water, yeah, we had hot water only if we had water.
The
bad thing is sometimes not having the water.
Yeah.
That sucked. And then we would just do bottled water, and I'll just baby wipe bath it.
That's one thing that I will say that has carried over from my military career is my love obsession with baby wipes.
I love baby wipes.
Being a quad,
Huggies. Oh my goodness.
Being a quad, baby wipes are your best friend.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And I recently just discovered they're, I don't know if they call them, they're like towels. But like the disposable
the
towels.
Wipes?
The dude wipe towels.
Okay. Towels, like face towels.
They're like maybe like a 1/4 inch thick, and I don't know, maybe about the size of like a hand towel.
Little bit they're larger than the face cloth. They're like larger than 8.5 by 11.
Probably, yeah. And they're thick.
Are
and
they
they're,
flushable?
Probably not. No, I wouldn't flush them. But for as far as like baby wiping, like for showers and stuff.
Yeah.
If you're going to be traveling overseas to like countries where there's just not going to be an accessible shower, I would really recommend getting those dude wipe towels because they just blow away.
Anything else? Blow away baby wipes?
Yeah, just because
Wow.
I don't know, maybe it's like the solution that they use. It's got a little bit more like soap.
Okay, so if I definitely know I'm not going to be taking a shower, I'm going to be using dew wipes.
I would,
Towel
yeah,
version.
I would definitely try to get some of those. But yeah, it's like, dude, I mean, I use
because like I have my shower chair, I could poop anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like I'll just sit on my chair. It's like hopefully there's like a bucket or a toilet under me.
What's the most awkward place you've pooped in? Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah, see,
Nick
like a
coming in with the
roommate
dude
came
wipes.
in with a dude wipes. A roommate Nick.
Are those like the face wipes? Let me see that.
They're the booty wipes.
Oh, the booty wipes.
My mom got them for me. Like she's like, oh, you might need these on like for like when you're at the gym.
Yeah.
That's when I only use them. Like I don't try to use them too much because I know these things can mess up toilets. But if you're at the gym and you just
One time.
Some of them are some of them are flushable,
Mike
but
introduced me to baby wipes and that's a bodybuilder.
See, getting the non-vets on the baby wipes, man.
No, so I think everybody needs to use baby wipes,
Yes.
even ABs. Like,
Yeah.
Storage,
Yeah, the disposing part. I mean, you put them in a trash bag, and
the
then
thing
it's
though,
fine.
like, okay,
Everything
like
smells like poop in
my
the bathroom.
suggestion for any AB, and I'm pretty sure my brother does this now, is like you start with the toilet paper, the regular old 2-ply or whatever.
Yeah.
You start with that. You finish with at least 2 baby wipes just to clean things up.
Just to make sure everything's called copacetic.
Right,
at
right.
the end.
It's the breath mint at the end of the meal.
So the TP is like they take out all the bad shit. It's the front line.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Right. Don't get the sandpaper stuff.
No. I don't. What do we have? Do we have Charmin?
Whatever you have is good.
It is okay. Cool. Quad verified.
It's
toilet
all
paper.
right. Yeah. No, use that. You don't have to spend too much on it, but
No, have you seen that roll that lasts an entire month by Charmin? They give you a stand for it. It's a huge
'cause it won't
roll.
fit in other.
It's a huge roll. I'm like a month long, dude. Like, what does the average person do? Like, how many times do they shit a month?
I feel like I got to change mine maybe once every week-ish. I'm not sure. But I'm also a pretty heavy wiper.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I am using baby
Yeah,
wipes
I mean,
too.
I think that's just a quad thing here, is making sure you're clean.
Yeah, no, one of my essentials for my travel kit is 100% baby wipes.
Yep, I got baby wipes, and that's like the main thing. If I have baby wipes among my like bathroom kit, I'm good.
Yeah.
Don't matter.
We're like a little bit over 2 hours of this podcast already. We can wrap it up soon, but I did want to ask you because you decided to transfer this year, and you're gonna play wheelchair rugby with the Oscar Mike Militia.
Yes, 100%. I'm very excited about it because, I mean, last year it was a super stacked team, and then this year I'm not gonna say it's like super stacked, but there's definitely good players, but everybody that's on there, I know.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I can create some type of communication with them on the court.
Right. Yeah. And like I'll be 100% honest with you. Like my desire to compete in rugby is slowly fading.
Yeah.
Just because there's other things that I want to do in life and
that you are doing in life, honestly, like this podcast, man.
Yeah.
Traveling,
I mean,
and
the
then
podcast,
like showing
the traveling
people stuff.
Yeah, there's I got some really good advice early on in it, and one of the rugby players told me, like, don't just be a rugby player.
Yeah.
Like, you need to do other things.
Yeah.
And I seen people that they get so focused on just rugby, like, I'm going to make Team US, and that's all they build their life around. And
which isn't bad. It's just one faceted. And it's cool. I mean, to see, like, that's what they're pursuing, and I hope that they make Team USA in all their endeavors. But I definitely think we need to be multifaceted.
Yeah. You can definitely do other things.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm at the point in my life where I'm ready to pass on all the knowledge and shit and stuff that I've learned throughout the years.
I mean, how long have you been playing rugby for?
This will be my 11th season.
That's a long freaking time, dude.
It is and it isn't, because I know guys that have played for 20, 25, 30 years.
Right. But I mean, you've gotten on Team Force, so you've trained with Team USA, like top tier.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And I mean, in 2017, I made Team USA.
Yeah.
And like, I'll be honest with you, like, it wasn't. It was a goal that I had. I knew I wanted to make Team USA at least once. Not necessarily like go to the Paralympics, but just to show that, like, I had what it takes
could do it.
to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, man. Like, when I made the team, I was kind of expecting more from what I got out of it. I was so used to being kind of like in that professional mindset.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, all I did was I worked out. I worked out for fucking 30 hours a week. And then when I wasn't, I was watching
rugby film.
Every night I would watch 2-3 hours of rugby film, studying, like taking notes and like just watching.
Hardcore.
Yeah, I was fucking balls deep into rugby. And I'll tell you, I mean, I don't want to say like burnout, but my goals have shifted because
I think everybody does that when they get older, at least too. And then with rugby, it's like it's a conduit for them to find more independence and to pursue their passions on what they want to do.
Well, I'm consistently looking for like the next challenge.
Yeah.
And like that's why I wasn't in Louisville. Like I wanted to go do that marathon, like in a rugby chair.
That was sick, dude. How much training? Let's get for the record. How much training did you actually do for that? Because it didn't seem like that much, and then you were like going crazy. It
was very time constricted.
Okay.
Because I had I had like other travel obligations. Yeah. So I didn't have the time to do it.
Oh man.
But I think I came into it. I had 4 weeks to go, which is
that's insane for a full marathon.
For a full marathon.
Full marathon, 26.2.
I thought that was okay, a good enough amount of time.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much 6 days a week. Okay. And I knew going into it, I wanted to just be able to work up to where a 13.1 mile, because I had done a half marathon.
Okay.
And it was a challenge, but it wasn't the challenge I was looking for, and that's why I wanted to do the full. So I figured if I can do a 13.1 where it isn't shit,
right?
Where I could just do it and like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
So that's the point I wanted to work up to. So
okay.
The first week I spent just kind of getting back into rugby, learning how to tape my fingers so I wouldn't get blisters.
Gotcha.
And I would just go
super important.
I would just go up and down my driveway, and I knew my previous 13.1 mile time was 2 hours and like 34 minutes. So I went out and I just would push for 2.5 hours up and down the driveway at a good. That's
insane. Like doing that volume just in your driveway. Granted, your driveway was how long?
Quarter mile,
but that's insane.
Yeah, like
that's a lot of discipline,
I would listen to like podcasts and audiobooks and just get lost in it. And then once I got up to that point, then I started going out to the park.
Okay.
And then measuring my 13.1.
Actually, like, yeah. I'm interested on what the physical fitness baseline is for us
for the militia this year. Yeah, I don't know, and I would tell you either on air or off air if I knew, but I don't. I can tell you what the U.S. stuff does to get you kind of an idea to what to like prepare for.
Right.
But yeah, with the marathon thing, it was like going out to the park, throwing 12 a 12-pound medicine ball
Yep.
in my picker using an elevation training mask.
Mm-hmm.
And then on my resets, like, every day I would do at least 20 minutes of indoor rowing.
Okay.
And I would just do that with,
Wow.
my active hands and just reset those muscles because we're so used to just pushing forward. So
yes.
it's getting that reset. And then also just really stretching and,
Yeah.
not so much the weightlifting. Like I would weightlift here and there, but yeah, no, it was the marathon day came and went and
I saw it and you're like, I was like, damn.
So now I didn't. There was a couple weekends where I would go on the course. So one weekend, I did the first half of the course.
Okay.
And then the next weekend, I did the second half of the course just so I can get a feel for
the terrain,
the distance, and the terrain. And there was one section where it was like 7 miles downhill. I didn't have to push my chair.
Right.
So I feel like I cheated. So
Okay.
I signed up for another marathon.
Because that's what I heard with like the Vegas one. Like I signed up.
Vegas
for the
is
half.
fairly flat. The only thing is, you do the half, and most of it you go from the strip to the old strip back to the strip.
Okay.
Where the marathon, you actually go up to like North Vegas towards like Texas
Wow.
Station. So there isn't really much to see.
Okay.
And it's at night, and I just haven't really heard like many good things about the full. And that's why I really wanted to go do the half again with you guys.
Okay.
But I signed up to do another full in Florida
Wow.
in January. Just
where at?
Fort
Orlando?
Lauderdale.
Lauderdale.
Yeah, it's called the A1A Marathon.
Dude, that's incredible, man.
It's completely flat. Well, I'm not going to be the guy that says I did a full marathon in my rugby chair and asterisk it with like, oh, I went downhill for 7 miles.
Right, yeah. But I mean,
So-
you're doing multiple marathons, so
This
it's like
one
not
is
all terrain's
completely
the same.
flat. I'm not going to be a fucking marathoner.
Right, okay.
I'm perfectly happy if the A1A marathon is the last marathon
Okay.
I do. It's something I'm doing just to prove to myself that I can do it.
Right, and that's what I'm doing with like the half right now. My friend, she's gonna be doing it with me, and she's also like, she's a disabled vet. Like she has
She gonna
shoulder
dress up
injuries,
with
like
us?
yeah, but
You guys were going.
we're doing
You guys are doing
different.
Marvel. We're doing Mario
like,
Kart.
like DC versus Mario Kart. I'm still gonna throw bananas in front of you guys, so you guys
I'm gonna fucking hit you in the head with a turtle.
blue shell only.
I didn't say turtle.
I mean,
shell.
I'm gonna be in first place, so blue shell.
No, I'm gonna have a live turtle, and I'm gonna hit you in the face.
with a pressurized cannon, and like it's like a snapping turtle.
Oh, now it's a Pokemon.
I mean, I am a gamer, so I have to like fall back on all gaming.
What getting back with rugby, like
Yeah.
because you first saw the game being played in 2012
Yes.
in Virginia,
And I thought it was some
and
awesome shit.
and then the next time I saw you was in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and you weren't in a power chair.
I wasn't in a power chair, but still wasn't playing rugby.
Well, you also had a Firefly.
Oh, that was in Tampa. Yep.
Yeah.
The Firefly. I think it was cool, but not cool at the
It's
same
still
time.
cool.
Yeah. But honestly,
But you
didn't
used
really
it all the time.
Yeah, I really honestly don't need it.
You don't.
I mean, if I'm going like 10 miles plus, like
It's a convenience thing.
yeah, it's honestly definitely a convenience thing. I don't even use it anymore. It's all power chair stuff. And then once it gets flat, I'll use my service dog Pixie. She'll pull me on the flat road.
So when was the first time that you actually played wheelchair rugby or got in a rugby chair?
2016.
It took you that long.
January 1st, I went over to Craig Hospital and practiced with the Denver Harlequins for the first time, and I think I got in Jason's chair.
Okay,
Yeah,
Jason Regier.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was the first day or the second day, but I definitely pissed in his chair because I was like, I had no idea with like leg bags and like anything like that. So I was like,
here's just
that was like the worst thing. I was like, oh,
Here's a insider tip. Every rugby chair has been peed on. I'm just saying.
or
Yeah.
if it hasn't been peed on, it's going to be peed on.
Yeah,
at
every
some point.
single rugby chair has had pee on it.
So yeah, it was that, and I just practiced with them for the entire year and learned the game. Chuck Aoki wasn't there at the time. It was like
Jason Regier, Eric Newby, Jake Daly wasn't even there at the time.
Yeah, but you had like Adam was.
I had Adam Scaturo, who showed me a lot of the ropes. I even have his high point chair I bought from him.
Okay.
He helped me a lot.
Yeah, Scatero's a great guy.
He helped me a lot because we were like in between the two, and so they were playing me as a 1-5 over there, and then it was great. I was in a low pointer chair, and then I was like training for maybe like 6-7 months, and then came to the first vet games with like playing rugby.
That was
year.
16?
That was like in Ohio.
17,
was that in
Cincinnati?
Ohio? Yeah, that was in Ohio, man.
Wow, I didn't know.
That was insane. Because I didn't play in Salt Lake City. It was Salt Lake City was like, all right, you're going to play next year. Because I was watching, and we were all cool, and it was like my mom was like,
yeah,
why aren't you playing?
I remember that was when I showed you like my truck and like your folks were out watching and
yeah
16.
over at that area. It was so cool. And my mom was like, I felt like my mom was really cool with it and wanted me to do something. That's when I took the dive into it.
Good shit.
Because I was always looking at it, I was like, so it was a mix between like you and my mom and like solidifying it.
It could also be kind of tough, like if you don't have like a team sports background.
I don't.
So
like I mean, intramural soccer in college and pee wee soccer, but it was cool. Like I had my roommates. Like Nick was there. Like when he started, he's like, dude, I'm gonna go to every single freaking practice with you. Every single practice with you. It's like it don't matter what it is. It's like Sunday, Wednesday. That's gonna be designated rugby days.
All right.
Bro, we had some super rough times where like I would show up to practice like before practice, and like my leg bag would mess up, and I'd get so pissed off. I'd be like, all right, we're just going home. Like we just got there.
Yeah.
It took like an hour and a half to get there, and we just gotta go home. Cause I couldn't like do anything. I didn't know how to like clean myself. I didn't know about like leg back procedure and all that stuff.
Man,
and, like,
I would have just been
that
like,
stuff.
fuck it, dude. I'm just gonna sit in it.
Yeah, like for me,
I'll
at
be
first
the first
it
one to
wasn't
admit,
like that.
There's been plenty of times where it's just like we hit that middle of the fourth quarter and I gotta pee, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'll deal with this later.
Right.
Got a game to play.
So, yeah, it's hardcore. That's hardcore right there.
You just it's
like during the game, I would definitely do that. But if I like had that opportunity to be like, shoot, I could probably maybe go cath or maybe do whatever.
Well, yeah, for like practice and like
that. But like, yeah, game time. When it's game time, it's game time. It's like it's literally a do or die situation at that point.
What
it feels like.
I guess like why don't we just end it? Like, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is like thinking about maybe trying wheelchair rugby, but isn't quite ready to just like dive right in? Like,
so if you're going through rehab right now, there should be some type of like talk to your recreational therapist and tell them specifically quad rugby. Most likely there's going to be a quad rugby team around you that you can get into a chair and just learn, like figure things out.
And if there's not, and you're a veteran, please reach out to Nicole at oscarmike.org, and we'll get you out. And we have chairs and we have everything that you would need.
Yes, we've recently got some funding through our donations in order to go through Vesco and get a whole bunch of Vesco chairs, so then we could get a lot of people into the rugby chairs to at least demo and learn about rugby. And if they want to pursue it, we can give you the like resources to get a rugby chair, especially with vets. But I mean, even like if you aren't a vet, come to us. Like we could still put you in the right direction.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the network, I think that's the best thing. I mean, and that's what I would encourage someone who is freshly injured is the networking. I mean, I would not be doing the show if I wasn't a rugby player, because I would just not know the amount of people that I do, and the people that I've met through the sport, either the people that
agree.
Play or have come spectate, or just people that I meet through people that have played the sport. Like, it's just an incredible networking source that you're not going to be able to find online, because from what I've noticed online, the community there is just a fucking cesspool.
It is.
It's just a big pity party.
Oh, huge.
Like not many people are like making fun of themselves. Like there's this guy, he lives here in the Springs. His name is Perrin, and he has like mixed memes, like crazy funny memes. It's like, I'd rather go to Waffle House because I can't IHOP. Stuff like that. It's like, that's awesome. We need more people like that.
Right. Yeah. There's a couple groups that like I have been kind of like lurking around.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, come to find out, man, like, and I understand everybody's situation is different.
Yes.
But I've met people that have had a rough go at it in their crippled life, but they play rugby and they're far more independent and they're far more outgoing. I really can't say enough about what rugby has done for me. And I'm sure the same is true for other adaptive sports.
Any adaptive sport. I mean, with rugby, it's like it's tough. I mean, you're getting beat up. I mean, there's like all kinds of things going on. It's like the toughest thing that you feel like you're ever going to be doing in a team sport. And it's just, being able to still do that and then be able to go out by themselves in order to participate in and compete in these sports. Like looking at that type of stuff is awesome.
Right. Okay, let's end it. We're like going to be over like 2.5 hours. Let's end it on one last question. Yes. And I guess let's bring it back to gaming.
Yeah.
Where do you see, like, okay, so right now we have the Xbox adaptive controller.
Yes.
And that's 1.0, the first generation.
1.0, the beginning of it's a pioneering device for adaptive gaming.
What improvements can we expect to see in the next reiteration?
Improvements, whether it be a universal controller that would be compatible with all consoles. There's this thing called Stadia that's by Google, which is basically you can use any controller to play.
Yeah.
And you can play whatever games that are on there, which are going to be all the AAA titles. So you'll be able to play all the games on there. That was like a huge thing with Stadia, is that Xbox adaptive controller is going to be compatible with it. It's definitely a start. It's not perfect. There's definitely improvements that we could do, like maybe create all wireless. You just have buttons on the table.
Yeah, that was one thing when we were playing, that we
so many wires. There's like a wired
there's a couple
jungle.
Short wires and things that are getting kind of caught up on your chair.
Yeah, and so that's definitely a huge nuance of now at least with adaptive gaming and using Xbox adaptive controller. There's makers and engineers all over the country that are trying to use an Xbox adaptive controller with their switches, and then also create a housing, which is, a controller housing, so they don't have to have all these wires like sticking out or anything.
Yeah.
But I definitely think we're definitely, this is the start, and we're going to keep on continuing on just making gaming inclusive, which then makes technology inclusive.
Yeah. Well, I know as soon as I was getting frustrated with the Call of Duty, but as soon as I started playing the Red Dead Redemption, I was just like, all right, I am sold. I'm going to get myself one of these.
And that's with minimal equipment that I have, like equipment that I would use. And then with Warfighter Engage, they help out vets for free. Mm-hmm. So when we get you hooked up with Ken and figuring out what you need, he's going to get stuff done.
Okay.
And he's going to help you. And then you're going to be playing Red Dead 2 a lot better, exponentially better than what you were today.
Yeah. I mean, I had, I don't know what, an hour maybe?
Yeah. And in an hour, like in an hour, you're honestly still like killing players and like doing fun stuff, like playing the game.
I got comfortable enough to just go in a town and just slay some bodies. And that's when I realized,
an evil cowboy.
I was like, okay, I can live out my cowboy fantasy. So, no, let's end it on that, man.
Okay.
It's gotten pretty late.
I enjoyed like being on this, man.
Yeah, no, dude, I was, you were one of the. If I were able to like pull up my list that I kind of created when I first originally thought of doing a podcast,
Yeah.
and I was like, do I even know enough guys that would be interesting to talk to? You were hands down in the top 10, and I'm sorry that it like took you so long to get you on.
No, I mean, we
But
were all busy, but
for what
I
you were
do
doing,
appreciate
I was
this.
just like, you know, the gaming thing, like there's nobody that's like, at least in my circle, that
Right.
has dove into it as much as you, and I saw the importance in it, you know, like
Yeah, it's not just playing video
Yeah.
games and just sitting on the couch and stuff, but it has more life lessons
well,
entwined
yeah,
into
like
it.
you're doing stuff like TwitchCon and
Yeah, and like the advocating for it, and it's not, you know, the universal design, as Google likes to say it, but and with Microsoft, you know, inclusive design, you know, just making it, if I can use any of these types of products, then I know everybody else that has full function can use that type of product.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we're striving for, is that everybody could use whatever product that's out there with technology, and it's just going to make the world better. You know, you don't have to worry about it. It's all sappy, but that's what I'm about.
hey, boom. I can't think of a better way to end the podcast, so we'll leave it at that.
Cool.
Thanks again, brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you.
All right, y'all, that is it for this episode, and we're out.
Sweet. See ya.